you're after.
Talking like strangers, wrapped in a anger. It's going down. We'll let it back, guess sooner or later. What comes around goes around. Breaking hearts, showing scars, leave me ripped apart. Cold to touch, not too much, but it's never enough. I'm searching inside, but there is nowhere to hide. Breaking hearts, showing scars, leave me ripped apart. Cold to touch, not too much, but it's never enough. I'm searching inside, but there is nowhere to hide. Them burdens fell in love, and now I'm left with this wanting. It's haunting. Poison lips, sinking ships, leaving me in the ocean, and I drown with the tide. Giving in like a death by 1,000 concessions. Your confession. You never loved me for who I am, just what you wanted from me. Talking like strangers, wrapped in a anger. It's going down. We'll let it back, guess sooner or later. What comes around goes around. Breaking hearts, showing scars, leave me ripped apart. Cold to touch, not too much, but it's never enough. I'm searching inside, but there is nowhere to hide. Shipping burdens, fell in love, and now I'm left with this wanting. It's haunting. Poison lips, sinking ships, leaving me in the ocean, and I drown with the tide. Giving in like a death by 1,000 concessions. Your confession. You never loved me for who I am, just what you wanted from me. Talking like strangers, wrapped in a anger. It's going down. We'll let it back, guess sooner or later. What comes around goes around. Breaking hearts, showing scars, leave me ripped apart. Cold to touch, not too much, but it's never enough. I'm searching inside, but there is nowhere to hide. There's nowhere left to hide. There's nowhere left to hide. From head to my toes, I can feel it in my bones when I take it down. I know I'm never letting go. When I think I regret, now you want me to forget. Every night I'm making lovers meaningless sex. Now my heart is in the palm of your rain, your satisfaction. Wanna quit fucking, now you're looking for some action. Better run quick or just quit, just what you're after. Talking like strangers, wrapped in a anger. It's going down. We'll let it back, guess sooner or later. What comes around goes around. Breaking hearts, showing scars, leave me ripped apart.
Just because I like fucking you doesn't mean I actually like you. Rich guys and hot guys get cheated on like everybody else. There's nothing to be afraid of. She's just a woman. Discovery trumps disclosure. You lost your edge, she lost the traction. That's how it works.
Live from Philadelphia, your man, Donovan Sharpe.
What's up, guys? It's your man, Donovan Sharpe, and welcome to the 434th edition of TSR Live, your daily dose of red pill truth, wisdom, and awareness. It is Wednesday, April 10th, 2019. Be sure to subscribe to my weekly newsletter to stay in the know on all things Donovan Sharpe. Being on my email list also comes in handy in the event that I get deplatformed here or anywhere else. Again, I say this every time. I'm not going to blow up your inbox, guys. Don't worry about that. But if you do not want to miss anything, make sure you subscribe to that newsletter. Just go to donovansharpe.com. Either scroll all the way to the bottom or scroll halfway. You'll get the pop-up, pop in your email address, and you're in there, easy peasy. Later on in the show, I'm going to have Rollo Tomassi coming on. He's going to be on the show. He's going to be making an appearance in an hour. That's going to be 2 Eastern, 11 Pacific. I'm also going to discuss the AWALT misconception, or the NAWALT misconception, as some people like to call it. All women are like that. And how that relates to hypergamy, and how even though all women are like that, all women are not the same. And hypergamy is one of many examples of how these two sort of tie in to one another. But I'm going to start with an article or an event that I came across yesterday. I think this was sent to me. I forget who this was sent to me by. And guys, forgive me if I'm not giving you shout outs. Again, I got a lot of moving parts. Once I get things up and running and once I get used to these things happening all around me, I'll be able to, pay attention to who sent this to me. But let me go ahead and pull up the article for you guys. And again, for those of you, listening on the replay, I'll try and be as descriptive as I can. So the article is once again on the website called Rolling Out. a lot of content on the Rolling Out website, rollingout.com. 7 indicted in HBCU prostitution ring involving the AKA sorority. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with the term HBCU means historically black college or university. The AKA sorority is the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. It is my understanding that it is a black female sorority. I think the AKAs are sort of the quasi-sister sorority to the Q Dogs, Omega Phi Psi or Omega Psi Phi. I'm not familiar with that. But if you're a Q Dog, obviously, I guess you're supposed to be the shit if you're a Q Dog at an HBCU. If you're an AKA, you're supposed to be the hottest, baddest bitches around, etc., etc. The Q Dogs basically fuck the AKAs, although the AKAs wouldn't really admit to that. You see black women all the time driving around with their AKA license plates, and I always think to myself, bitch, like you were in college like 30 years ago. Let go of that shit. Same with dudes that are in Q Dogs, right? Like, okay, I get that you're a Q Dog and you're this, that, and the other, but bruh, you're 45, you're 57 pounds overweight, you got 3 kids, 2 of them you don't have custody of because your first wife divorce raped you. You being a Q Dog doesn't really hold any weight. People wearing fraternity and sorority pins into job interviews as if by some off chance the guy interviewing you might have just been in a fraternity. Anyway, real short article. I'm going to read this to you here. Several people, it says, are facing jail time due to a scandal that rocked Fort Valley State University. According to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, Alicia Janetta Johnson, who was 49 years old, allegedly served as a ringleader in the prostitution ring. So I guess she was either a pimp or a madam. I know we all heard about the DC madam, and apparently this Alicia Johnson was at the head of this. Johnson, it continues, who served as an executive assistant to the president of Fort Valley State University, was a graduate advisor to the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, allegedly performed sex acts in exchange for money and helped to provide prostitutes to prominent men in the college community located south of Atlanta. She has since been charged with 6 counts of prostitution, 3 counts of pimping, and 2 counts of solicitation of sodomy. 6 men were also indicted on 1 count each of solicitation of sodomy. So basically, 6 dudes were charged with solicitation of sodomy. I don't know why they wouldn't be charged with solicitation of prostitution. Maybe that's sort of a lesser charge, but basically, hey, I want to butt fuck you. How much do you charge? is pretty much the size of it. It continues. Johnson faces a maximum of up to 12 months in prison and up to a $1,000 fine per count. The 6 men who were indicted were Ernest Harvey, Kenneth Howard, Ryan Jenkins, Charles Jones, Arthur James Nance Jr., and Devontae Little. You see their ages range from 26 all the way to 57 years old. So regardless of age, it appears niggas trying to get it in no matter what. Now, what's interesting about this particular article, I'm just going to make a few points about the article, and then I'm going to talk about the real reasons women don't want prostitution legalized. And again, if you want to chime in on this, 914-205-5356. I think that's 914-205-5356. If you are outside of the U.S., it's 001 914-205-5356. If you want to call in and chime in on this. Now, notice they didn't mention the girls who were prostitutes, right? There's mention of Alicia Johnson. There's mention of the 6 men charged with looks like they all got charged with 1 count of solicitation of sodomy, solicitation of butt fucking, but there's no, and again, this is an article on a website. I haven't looked at the AJC Atlanta Journal-Constitution article, but there's no mention of the females who were actually the sex workers, the females who were selling their asses. What's happening here, gentlemen, is they are using rape shield laws in this particular case, at least for this particular article. Now, what are rape shield laws? Rape shield laws are as follows. The long and the short of it is that if a woman accuses a man of rape, she doesn't get her name put out there. Her name does not become public. So a female can accuse a man of rape, falsely or otherwise. His name is dragged through the mud. Meanwhile, her name doesn't get made public, unless, of course, it turns out that the rape accusation was false. And a lot of times, those names never really see the light. So they protect the accused, right? Or they protect the accuser, even if the accuser is lying about the accused. So if you're accused of rape, your name is put out there. But rape shield laws prohibits, I guess, prohibits the name of the accuser to be put out there. I guess they don't want her to be subjected to slut shaming, et cetera, et cetera. But again, what about the girls charged with the prostitution? Right? Prostitution is illegal in the state of Georgia, last I checked. So why weren't they charged? And if they were, why wasn't this in the article? Nope. Only the facilitators and the participators were charged, not the actual females who willingly sold their asses, literally their asses, because they were taking it in the ass, apparently, which is illegal. Shout out to Dialer String with the $5 super chat. Appreciate that. If you want to contribute to the show, you can either donate via super chat or you can do so through the Donovan Sharpe Streamlabs link, www.donovansharpe.com www.streamlabs.com/ Donovan Sharpe and the number 1. That is streamlabs.com/ Donovan Sharpe and the number 1. 100% of your contributions come directly to the towers. YouTube wisely takes 30% off the top. Listen, I don't have a problem with that. If you want to donate via super chat, I got no problem. If you want more of your money to come to the show, the Streamlabs link is the best way to do it. So now this ventures into another topic that I've talked about briefly in the past, and those are the real reasons that prostitution is illegal. Shout out to Rollo Tomassi, who is in the house. Rollo, give me about another 40 minutes, and then I'll open up the link. I'll open up the Hangout, and then you and I can go back and forth. Got a couple of segments to do here, and then I'll be joined by Rollo Tomassi. Rollo Tomassi, shout out to him. Now, I'll go ahead and start it off by talking about this. Sex trafficking, gentlemen, it is a huge problem throughout the world. That's no secret. We all know it's prevalent, and it's been prevalent for quite a while. But what the feminist media and the feminist agenda are doing very cleverly is tying in human trafficking with women who work in the sex trade, with women who willingly work in the sex trade. Gentlemen, there's a huge difference between being kidnapped, taken to another country, and becoming a prostitute by force, and being in the sex trade by choice, right? Listen, strippers, call girls, escorts, prostitutes, etc., they're all most of them in this country, and around the world for that matter, are in the business because they chose to be. Yes, there are some females who are forced into sex work. This is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about females who are willingly sex workers. Becoming a stripper or a prostitute because you can't pay your bills, that's not being forced into the sex trade. You chose that because you wanted to make money. Just like nobody is forced to work at McDonald's. You got to pay the bills. You need a job. You do what you have to do. But the reason why the narrative of women being forced into the sex trade is so prevalent among the gynocentric media is because women want to stigmatize prostitution. Think about what's just happened. The Robert Kraft situation. He's facing charges. Eugene Robinson, way back in Super Bowl 34. He still lives with that cloud over his head. After Super Bowl 34, then Atlanta Falcons, I think he was a safety. He solicited prostitution in the city of Atlanta after the Super Bowl. He is infamous now for that. Females don't want prostitution to be legalized, and they use every reason under the sun to justify their opposition to it. So, I'm going to give you guys 4 very good reasons why females really don't want prostitution to be legalized that they would never admit out loud or to themselves. Number 1, it depreciates the value of their vaginas. Guys, listen, man, women know that's what men want. They know the reason we deal with them in the first place is because we want to fuck them because they have vaginas. But they like to pretend otherwise. Well, guess what? This economy, this capitalistic economy, and the economy around the world is all based on one very simple principle: supply and demand. The more of something is available, the less valuable it becomes. Simple math. Well, guess what? More pussy means less value. And listen, prostitution is illegal anyway, but pussy is still as cheap as it's ever been, right? Because women are giving away their vaginas. They're having sex with men for less and less. A couple of pickup lines, maybe a shot of tequila or two, and boom, the panties come off. Pussy is cheap. But if you legalize prostitution, pussy becomes pussy hits the floor. We're talking Black Friday, Tuesday, October 29th. I think it's Tuesday, October 29th, 1929. I'm probably getting that date wrong. Okay? And think of it this way. If prostitution were legal, men would ask themselves, why put up with bitchy women and jump through hoops, spend money, and still not get laid? In a man's mind, listen, it's just easier to pay the money and fuck and be done with it. So the number 1 reason females are opposed to prostitution is because it depreciates the value of vagina. And vagina, unfortunately for women, that's the only commodity they really have. Youth and beauty. Well, youth and beauty are tied into the vagina. If you are old and you are ugly, we don't want your vagina. If you are young and beautiful or somewhere in between, fuckable, we want the vagina. Well, if more easy payable vagina is available to men without having to put up with all the nonsense that men have to put up with to get laid, pussy stock goes down. NASDAQ sign PSY. PSY, PSSY, I don't know. Number two, the second reason why females do not want prostitution to be legalized is it forces women to be feminine. Women are bitches. They act terribly. They act like men. They burp, they fart, they swear, they drink until they can't stand up, and they still get plenty of dick, guys. They still get money. They still get resources. Men wouldn't put up with that nonsense if prostitution were legal, and women know this. Women are more feminine when they know that men have options. Take any given relationship, right? This is what we call dread game in the manosphere. If your woman gets and this is active or passive dread, the minute your woman knows and understands very clearly that you have options other than her, the minute she knows that you can go off and fuck another woman, that's the day that she becomes more feminine. If a female thinks you're on her way out the door, she's not going to become more masculine. She's not going to get bitchy. She's going to suck your dick. She's going to dress nice. She's going to be feminine. She's going to be deferent. She's going to be kind. She'll be feminine. If prostitution were legalized, women would have to look, act, and dress like women. Let's go directly to the sex trade. Let's take hookers, for example. You ever seen a hooker dressed like a man? You ever seen a hooker in sweats? Ever seen a prostitute walk in her corner in, I don't know, flip-flops and blue jeans? No. Why? Because prostitutes, hookers know that men want feminine women. Even if they have to pay for it, men want feminine women. So prostitutes act like feminine women. Legalized prostitution would force women to act like women. But females don't want to change. They don't want to do things like losing weight. They don't want to do things like not being a bitch. Men should be attracted to plus-size girls rather than actually getting your ass in the gym and losing weight. So the second reason why females do not want prostitution to be legalized is it forces them to be feminine. Forces them to look, act, dress, smell like women. The third reason, number 3, I put up 2. The third reason women do not want prostitution to be legalized is that it forces females to develop themselves outside of sexual attraction. Remember what I said earlier. Unfortunately for women, their vaginas are basically the only commodity they have. There's nothing else good about them. Today's women, today's Western females, good for nothing but sex. If prostitution were legalized, It would force them to, if they want male attention, it would force them to develop themselves outside of sex. Females who can't cook, sew, do laundry, or even hold a conversation because of their phones, they're going to be left out in the cold. But that's not how it is. Females get handed everything simply for existing, regardless of how they act, bitchy or otherwise. They know that all they're good for is fucking. Now, a few have some useful traits here and there, but by and large, women are good for one thing and one thing only, and they know it. Gentlemen, it's easy to be a slut, but it is hard to be a woman of quality. And if prostitution were legal, the jig is up. No more getting dick for nothing. No more getting commitment just for having a set of tits and a vagina. No more men fawning over them for just because you posted a picture on Facebook. Oh, no. Legalized prostitution would make females actually have to work for male attention. And they don't want to have to do that. They want to be able to take selfies and watch the dick roll in. They want to be able to put up a profile picture, get all kinds of offers. And in a female's mind, you think of it on their end. Of course they don't want prostitution to be legalized. Why should they work for something that they've already been getting for free? Number 4, the fourth and final reason that I will point out that women do not want prostitution to be legalized is it levels the playing field. There are always more dudes who want to fuck women than women who want to fuck dudes. I'm not going to get into a debate about who has the higher sex drive and this and that and the other. Listen, we as dudes, we're always trying to fuck. I'm 41 years old. I'm always trying to fuck. Dude, listen, I'm on TRT. But even now, even though I'm on TRT, I don't have the sex drive I did back when I was 18, 19, 20 years old. Guess what? I'm still trying to fuck all the time. And because of this, men have to be more attractive to women to get sex from women. But women don't have to be as attractive. They just have to be there. Think of it this way, guys. Female 4s and 5s get exponentially more sex than male 4s and 5s, if at all. Dude, male 4s and 5s, 3s, 4s, and 5s, maybe? I don't even think those guys get pussy. Not nowadays. Female 3s, 4s, and 5s, they get dick, guys. Guys, listen. Listen. I know we can bitch and moan, but don't complain, man. This is how it is. Even if feminism never existed, think of it this way. Even if feminism never existed and all females were quality women, they would still be more selective than we are. It's just a matter of biology. There's more at stake for females when it comes to sexual intercourse. There's far less at stake for men. Females have to carry the baby for 9 months. It ruins their body. They're going through all sorts of hormonal changes, right? They gain weight. Their vaginas are loosened when they have the kid. They got to do Kegels and all that. That's a lot to invest. And then you got to look after the little fucker for 18 months. Then you got to look after the little fucker for 18 years. And oh, by the way, the first year and a half, 2 years, they can't walk, they can't talk, they can't speak English. All they do is cry, eat, and shit. And she gets maybe 2.5, 3 hours of sleep per night if she's lucky, if she's blessed with a good kid. This is why females are more selective than men when it comes to sex. Men, we don't have to be selective. All we do is bust the nut in her. We can walk off and go impregnate somebody else. We don't go through bodily changes. We don't have those hormonal changes. Listen, we can reproduce till the day we die. This is why females are infinitely more selective than men. It's biology. But getting back to prostitution, if it were legalized, it would effectively level the playing field, guys. No more sausage fests at bars and clubs. Honestly, you go to any given bar or club or meetup or whatever, it's probably a 2-to-1 to a 3-to-1, maybe even a 4 or 5-to-1 anywhere you go. 3-to-1, 3 bitches to 1 dude. If prostitution were legal, that number would drop to 1-to-1 and maybe even 1-to-2. Because dudes number 2 and 3 are paying for hookers. They're not trying to go to a bar or a nightclub and shout at a girl over all the blaring music, buy her $17 Appletini, and hope she laps up the game enough to maybe want to look at your dick. No. They say, fuck it. If I'm going to spend $50 on drinks, shit, I may as well go the whole 9 and spend, $200-$300? Get the guaranteed pussy. Can't blame them. Females know that they have a statistical advantage in the sexual marketplace, and they know that legalized prostitution would literally eliminate that advantage. It would flip that advantage on its head. This is why they don't want prostitution to be legalized, gentlemen. Do not get it twisted. This is why. They like the advantage they have, and they exploit it. Why do they exploit it? They exploit it to ride the carousel. They don't want to work for anything they don't have. They don't want to work for something they already get for free. So at the end of the day, females can talk about morals and ethics. Oh, you know, she was forced to be a stripper and that poor no. They can talk about that all they want to. But we all know why. We in the sphere, men in the know, men who understand real female nature, we know why females really don't want to legalize prostitution. Legalized prostitution decreases their value as women if all they bring to the table is vagina. No easy dick, no orbiters, no white knights, no resources from men. Guess what? They can go fuck the government. That's really what it is. Government is the new beta bucks. You legalize prostitution, that goes away too. No more free handouts. Who's going to impregnate these bitches if dudes can just go out and pay for pussy? Women love having a decided advantage in the sexual marketplace without having to do anything except for breathe and have a vagina. Gentlemen, they are not about to give that up. This is why females do not want prostitution to be legalized. That is all there is to it. On the other side of the break, I'm going to talk about the doctrine of AWALT. All women are like that. How that ties into hypergamy with regards to NAWALT. And then, of course, at the top of the hour, here in about a half an hour, I'm going to be joined by Rollo Tomassi to talk about open hypergamy. It's going to be a very, very good discussion. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back.
Which is, why do women take relationship advice from sluts? One of the ironclad truths that we preach here in the sphere is that nobody should ever take relationship advice from women, especially not men, and including women. Listen, men or women should never take relationship advice with women. Now, the reasons are obvious, but a lot of men and women always wonder aloud, why are relationships so fucked up? Why are relationships so fucked up? Like, this is what they ask. Well, the main reason is feminism, right? Like, that's easy to figure out if you're a 5%er. But another major reason is that women take relationship advice from sluts, from women who are perpetually single, from women who cheat on their boyfriends all the time, from wives who have affairs and so forth. You get the picture. Now, it's common sense that you should never take financial advice from homeless people or fitness advice from fat guys. So why do women take advice from women who are clearly fat and homeless? Well, this one's easy. It's because the advice of a slut is easier to follow than the advice of a woman who is in a good relationship. If Christina, mythical girl, is having trouble keeping her boyfriend's sexual attention, the slut will advise her to get on Tinder and start fucking her coworkers to teach him a lesson, right? The woman who's in a solid relationship will tell her to cook him a good meal and serve it to him, and serve him that meal in lingerie and some stripper heels. Lingerie, stripper heels. Okay? That's sure to get and keep his sexual attention, of course, provided he does not have low T. Now, if she's concerned about the fact that she doesn't spend as much money on her as she thinks he should, her boyfriend, the slut advises her to stop having sex with him until he starts buying her shit and to let him know as much. While the red pill aware woman, and by the way, there's no such thing as a red pill woman, only a woman who belongs to a red pill man. I just want to make that distinction. That woman will tell her that she needs to step up her game to make herself worthy of financial rewards, like maybe him taking her to dinner or whisking her away for a weekend getaway. Guys, being a slut is easy. It doesn't take any work. Listen, all you have to be is a woman and give in to your impulses and temptation. Being a quality woman is very difficult, especially in today's world. And when a quality woman offers sound advice, girls don't want to follow because they're not willing to put in the work, man. Listen, women want these perfect relationships, but they don't want any of the costs associated with it. They want a guy who's 6'4" with dashing good looks, six-pack abs, 9-inch dick, who's funny, charming, sensitive, caring, masculine, direct, goal-oriented, blah, 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 and the other 74 fucking requirements they have, but they have no idea what it takes to get and keep a man like this. It's just like girls dreaming and wishing they were thin, but they don't want to get up at 5 a.m. and squat. And the thing is, women don't even realize that the reason all of their relationships go down in flames is because they're following the advice that's the easiest to follow. It's easy to follow advice that allows you to give into your whims, guys. It's easy to follow advice that doesn't hold you accountable for your actions. It is easy to be a slut. But when something is initially easy, it is almost always hard in the long run. And when something is hard initially, it is always easy in the long run. And here's what I mean by that. Being a slut will always be easy, even for post-wall women. Doesn't matter if she's 25 or 45, like the bitches Paul Sanabria was talking about. Dudes out here are thirsty enough to fuck either one of them if they want to get laid bad enough. But sleeping alone at night, that's hard, guys. It tells a woman in no uncertain terms that she is not good enough to deserve a man who sleeps in her bed every night. That's a fucking mind job. On the other side of that coin, it is extremely difficult to be a quality woman. Dude, ask my main chick, man. I put her through her fucking paces for nearly a year and a half before I finally decided to commit to her. But as difficult as it is to be a quality chick, the rewards are well worth the effort. And I don't have to be a woman to tell you that life as a quality woman is a lot easier than life as a slut. So if there's any woman watching or listening who are wondering why their last 4 relationships ended badly, my advice to you, other than stop fucking other dudes while you're in relationships, would be to stop taking relationship advice from your slutty friends and seek out guidance from red pill aware men like myself or women in solid relationships at the very least. No, it's not going to be easy to hear. No, it's not going to be easy to do. But if you want to quit cheating on your boyfriend, if you want to quit thinking that all men are dogs or all men are low quality, whatever, you got to start getting your advice elsewhere. That's how it is. On a Wednesday, I guess technically it could be my Thursday. I'm actually going to have a Friday show. I reached out to a bunch of guests, and all of them said yes. So I am going to have a Friday show. I will let you know who's going to be a guest on my Friday show tomorrow. Today, of course, I've got Rollo Tomassi. Tomorrow, I've got Ryan Stone, possibly Gay Lube Oil or GLO Fitness. So, star-studded week here with the TSR Live with Donovan Sharpe relaunch here. Guys, be sure to follow, add, and like me on Facebook and Twitter. Just search Donovan Sharpe on either platform. If you have the Donovan Sharpe mobile app, be sure to add me on Instadon. Rollo Tomassi dropping solid gold here. He's not even on the show, and he's already upstaging me. He says, quote, hookers and strippers understand how rare it is for women to actually dress up for a man. That's why being a stripper is such easy money. Goddamn. This is why I have him on my show, man. Listen, if anybody, listen, and you guys can see my fanboy. I'm a fanboy. You guys can see my portrait of me and my hero. Rollo's my hero. It still blows my mind. It still blows my mind that I'm actually friends with this guy. It never gets old. Never gets old. 914-205-5356 is the number to call to get in on the show. Let's go to the 702 with my man C in Vegas. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
Hey, what's going on? All right, Donovan, I'll make you some arrows on this one, but yeah, I think, contrary opinion. Well, not contrary, but
another perspective, baby.
I don't think it's feminism and women who want to stop prostitution. I think we have let's just talk about in this country.
Okay.
The U.S.
All right.
You know, it's like the evangelicals and the religious right and all those type of guys that stop that type of
Didn't even think about that, man.
Get that ball rolling. Prostitution, they had to get prostitution legalized. For example, if you look at Brooklyn, there was an article in the New York Post that they're talking about Brooklyn, New York. They're talking about legalizing prostitution. You know, in California, they talk about, you know, sex workers' rights and stuff like that. There's been debate about it. We're in red states. That's just a no-go. But, you know, for religious reasons and stuff, I don't think it's like the feminists or whatever. As a matter of fact, if you look, it's usually feminists on the front lines kind of arguing for this stuff. Also, if you look at the Netherlands, which is very liberal compared to the United States.
Oh, yeah.
Prostitution is legalized there, too.
Yep.
And
yes,
I can't say, like, you know, there's a influx of, you know, a beautiful feminine Netherlands woman just running around the earth. So I think, no, but however, you know what I'm saying, where we're simpatico on is just that I do believe it should be legalized. Honestly, truth be told, just get it over with.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Just Because I remember I live in Nevada, where
Oh, dude, yeah.
I forgot which county it is, Donovan. You could tell me where it's legalized, but it's where the Bunny Ranch is located.
Oh, yes,
I forgot
yes,
that county,
yes, yes.
Donovan. You probably. But so, I don't think it's like, the purple-haired feminists or anything like that, trying to stop this legislation. I just think it actually comes from the religious right wing who are staunchly opposed to that for their own reasons.
Sure.
Whatever. I'm not trying to get political here.
No, I understand,
But
but
that's just my take.
they do it they do it so that they can be on their moral high horse. We don't believe in prostitution because it is wrong to have sex before marriage. Blah 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 blah. And we all know, that prostitution is said to be the very first profession. It's the oldest profession. It's as old as time itself.
Right, but Donovan, I'll argue again because I agree with you, but I want to say this too. But however, I think what we're kind of underplaying here is religious rights.
Yeah, I agree.
Kind of hold on American politics because Donovan, let's be clear about something real quick. They're actually not an exceptionally large portion of the country. You get what I'm saying? Especially from the 80s, Donovan, because you grew up in the 80s. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So you remember, Reagan and all
Sure.
that type of, the evangelical revolution and stuff.
Yes.
But they still have a lot of money and influence. Actually, Donovan, what do you call a minority? What's the difference between a minority and an elite? Power. That's
Okay.
it.
Right. Okay.
You get what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
However, Donovan, again, I think where you and I though are completely simpatico on. It should be legalized. I think it should be legalized. You know what I'm saying? Also, I think it would just be better. You know what I'm saying? Women have another profession. If men don't want to be frustrated or go through the nonsense of dating,
Right.
which I completely understand. You know what I'm saying? Go get a prostitute. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Anybody opposed to this? I don't know, Donovan. It'll be strange for me. It's very strange for me for anybody to be opposing this.
No, I agree with you. And, you actually pointed this out. I agree with you. I think that listen, I think females are definitely behind this. I think they're probably, in my opinion, they're definitely the most vehement, staunch opposition to legalizing prostitution and that's for their own reasons. Again, for the reasons I just pointed out. They got to act like women. It depreciates the values of their vaginas. But I had not even, that was a blind spot with me. I totally agree that it is the Christians, the evangelicals, the Puritan type people who believe that sex is wrong and sex is a sin. Sex must be performed in missionary position every time, and sex must be. And listen, I'm not. And again, guys who have followed me for a while, I'm not an atheist, but I'm not a Christian either. I'm not saying there is a God. I'm not saying that there's not. I'm in sort of a religious.
Not Donovan for as long as I've been listening to you, big bro. You've never been like, let's be honest. You're more conservative, but you're definitely not some fucking trad con. You better get
hell
the Bible and
no.
pray on your knee. No, you've never been in that fucking stripe. That's
Right.
one of the reasons why I do, because you're very objective. You seem to open discussion, whatever. But you know what I'm saying? Let me be clear though, Donovan. I think where there's some cross currents here is that a lot of evangelical women are rabidly opposed to this.
Wow.
Rabidly, man, because Donovan, let's be clear. A lot of the men are running around with prostitutes on their own.
That's right.
Of course, in public, in public or whatever, you guys better do the marriage or whatever.
Oh yeah, right. With their signs, death isn't coming, blah 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 blah.
Right. Also, Donovan, where you and I also have a lot of agreement on. Like that's why I don't follow the black church and all that, or any religions like that or anything like that, because it's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? The churches and stuff, it's not about church. It's about other stuff. You know what I'm saying? With Pastor Porkchop is trying to back on your wife. And
oh, my God. Yeah, don't get me started.
Especially the black church. I'm not even getting into that. We're not even get into it. Never even get into it. You know what I'm saying? But that's just my take, big bro. What say you?
Yeah, listen, and thanks for the call, C in Vegas. Listen, he pointed it out. I had not even thought about Christians, evangelicals, et cetera, et cetera. He also mentioned evangelical wives. Guess why they're opposed to legalized prostitution? That creates even more competition. Women, listen, females with husbands, and again, females need to understand, just because he put a ring on it doesn't mean you stop competing. And listen, this is why wives are better than girlfriends, or this is why girlfriends are better than wives. Wives don't feel like they should have to compete, and they don't compete. They don't want to have to compete for their husband's affection. Guess what? If you're married or if you're with a high value guy, listen, just because you're in a committed relationship doesn't mean you ain't got to compete. The reason why Devin wears stripper heels and all this crazy stuff that I make her wear is because she continues to compete. This is why I'm still with her, because she understands that just because we live under the same roof, just because we are in a in a committed relationship, dude, she does not take anything for fucking granted. She knows as well, dude, she knows that I could be out the door in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. Same with me. I continue to compete for Devin. I can't get fat. I can't lose my drive. This is the masculine burden performance along with the feminine burden of performance. Prostitution forces women to compete even more than they already have to. That would definitely put them on notice. Absolutely. All right, let's go into the next topic that I'm going to talk about here. And again, Rollo Tomassi is going to join me at the top of the hour in roughly 20 minutes. He's going to be joining me at 2 o'clock Eastern time to talk about hypergamy. But I'm going to delve into hypergamy here a little bit. Two things that most people either own, and stay with me here. Two things most people own or are familiar with are cars and computers. Somebody time out Jack Bone. Don't talk shit about C in Vegas. These two, cars and computers, these are two of the best-selling items in world history as far as units and dollar figures are concerned. People are always going to buy cars. People are always going to buy computers. That is a mathematical certainty. Now, one of the many reasons for this is that cars and computers don't really need an instruction manual, right? You walk into an Apple store, you get a computer built, or you go online, you customize a Windows-based computer. When you get home, you open the box, you already know how to use it, right? If you hit the space bar, the cursor moves to the right. I think. Yes, the cursor moves to the right. The delete key, deletes the character you just type. The mouse and the cursor work the same way, and so on and so forth. Most people know how to operate computers sight unseen. And forgive this snafu here. I really need to disconnect my phone from my computer, because anytime I get a phone call or anything, it always just fucks up my screen. I really got to stop doing that. That was Steve the Dean. Steve, if you're watching, I'm on the air, man. Guys love calling me while I'm on the air. Kevin Samuels is notorious for calling me while I'm on the air. I got to disconnect my computer. Anyway, now, yes, there are major differences in their packaging and their brand as far as cars and computers go, right? As far as computers go, you got your Mac versus a PC. Some computers have different programs and applications than others, and most computers look different from one to the other. But if you open up a web browser on any one of them and type in donovansharpe.com, not only are you going to be shocked, for better or worse, you're going to see all of the same things on the screen. Yes, computers are all very different from each other in many, many ways, but they all operate in the same way. Same with cars. Whether you're driving a basic model Toyota or a Lamborghini, the gas pedal is on the right, the brake pedal is on the left. The steering wheel is going to work the same way. And even though the engines are very, very different from one another, they have the same function, which is to propel the car forward and backwards. Yes, Lamborghinis have a lot more bells and whistles. Yes, the engine in a Lamborghini is very, very different from the engine in a Toyota Camry. And yes, Lambos cost a shitload more cash than Toyota. They are very, very different from one another, but they operate the same way. Gentlemen, cars and computers are very similar to people. People come in all different shapes, sizes, and colors. We all come from different backgrounds and cultures. We all speak different languages. But if we take a painkiller, the pain goes away. If we do a line of cocaine, we're going to get high and feel invincible. If we take poison, we're going to get sick or we're going to die. If we eat too much, we get fat. If we lift weights, we get stronger. The list goes on. How that ties in is that one of the most ubiquitous axioms of the red pill is that all women are like that. But people who disagree don't seem to understand, or at least they pretend not to understand, that all women are like that doesn't mean that all women are the same. Like cars and computers, gentlemen, women come in all shapes, sizes, and colors. They're all very different in many ways from woman to woman, from female to female. The hardware and the packaging might look different, but their hard drives are all identical. They are motivated by the same things. They carry out those motivations in much the same ways. Their motivations manifest themselves the same way. So, what exactly is AWALT? What exactly does all women are like that mean? Well, I'm going to go Red Pill 101 here for you. Basically, all women are like that means that all women operate the same way. Like I said before, they're different on the outside, different environment, but their software is identical, meaning that they're attracted to the same things. They're aroused by the same things, and they operate within sexual relationships and the sexual marketplace in the same ways. No, not exactly the same way, down to the time, the day, and the behavior, right? But their motivations and actions are very much alike. We know this in the red pill community. We can accurately predict any given female's behavior. It may not happen at the exact time, in the exact place, in the exact way, but we know what the fuck women are trying to do. AWALT, again, doesn't mean all women are the same. That's just not true. It means, again, that women conduct themselves in relationships by the same set of rules or principles. In other words, they're motivated by the same things regardless of how different they are. Again, all women aren't the same. When people refute this, they're not refuting AWALT. They're not saying, well, not all women are like that. No, what they're really refuting is all women are the same. This is a very disingenuous way of arguing this point, guys. They're arguing against something else. They purposely misinterpret AWALT. Now, the most ubiquitous red pill axiom when it comes to AWALT, or all women are like that, is hypergamy. And like I said, I'm going to have Rollo Tomassi on here in about 15 minutes to discuss open hypergamy, but I'm going to dive into it a little bit before he comes on and give you, again, a little bit of Red Pill 101 and talk about the fact that not all females exercise hypergamy in exactly the same ways. Again, all women are like that. All women are not the same, but they are all like that. They're all motivated by the same things through their actions and their objections, although they achieve them, slightly differently. Let's talk about hypergamy. Now, Rollo can write an entire book on hypergamy. I'm gonna boil this down to I'm just gonna boil this down to basically a simple definition. The definition of hypergamy is a female consolidating on the highest value male available to her. That's it. So, for example, if a woman's boyfriend is homeless, broke, has no job, no car, ugly, and in bad shape, and a guy who has a mansion, who is rich, and the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, owns 5 sports cars, has underwear model looks, washboard abs, and shows interest in a relationship with her, she will leave her homeless boyfriend for the rich guy. Now, that is an extreme example, but you get the point. If a higher value male comes along, females more likely than not are going to jump ship. Now, there are 2 kinds of hypergamy. There is genetic hypergamy, and there is provider hypergamy. Alpha fucks hypergamy is a woman getting with and or cheating with a guy who is physically superior to her significant other. If her boyfriend is fat, if her boyfriend or husband is fat, not very good looking, weak jaw, he's short, he's balding, and a 6'4" Adonis with a square jaw wants to fuck her, she's going to let him fuck her. He has better genes, and women are more aroused by men with better genes. That's it. Provider hypergamy is women getting with a guy who is a better provider than her current significant other. And J-Pill, speaking of what is this guy talking about? This is not a religion. Yep, get the fuck out of here. See you later. J-Pill, you're gone. Don't come in here and talk shit about what's this guy talking about. Guess what? Now you can sit there and listen. I don't mind open discourse, but don't come in. Listen, if you want to complain about my podcast, do it to yourself. If you do it in the chat, you're fucking gone. Fuck you, you're out of here. Anyway, provider hypergamy is a female getting with a guy who is a better provider than her current significant other. This normally happens with single mothers when they reach their 30s. Provider hypergamy is normally out of necessity, as opposed to visceral arousal like genetic hypergamy. In either case, hypergamy is about value. Ugly fat girls can't exercise hypergamy as much as hot girls. Lower sexual market value girls don't have the quality of options that higher sexual market value girls do. Here's the thing, guys, and a lot of you guys are going to disagree, but here's the thing. Hypergamy is good for men. Listen, I don't give a shit. It's good for men. You want to know why? Because it forces us to keep our shit together. Conditional love, gentlemen, is for the weak. If you don't keep your shit together, your girl has the right to go out and find someone who does. Period. Same with you. If your girl gets fat, go dump her and go get a skinnier girl. Now, females have a hard time with this because they think that this is, quote,
shallow, right? Look, they say things like, looks and money and muscles aren't important to me. I want a man of substance. No, you don't. You want a high-value guy, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Admitting that you're hypergamous as a female doesn't make you a bad person, ladies. It makes you a woman. Leaving your loser of a boyfriend or husband for a man who's got his shit together is no more wrong than a man leaving his fat wife for a woman who is more physically fit. That's the way it goes. All women are hypergamous, whether they admit it or not. They don't all exercise hypergamy in exactly the same ways and to the same degrees, but they are all looking to get with the highest value guy they can find. I remember a while back when I lived in Vegas, one stripper literally told me, she says, I want to date down. I don't want to marry down. I want to date up. I want to marry up. I want to fuck up. This is what she said to me. Women want a man who is superior to them in every way. Sexual market value, net worth, education, intelligence, the whole nine, guys. If their boyfriend is of equal or lesser value to her in most of those areas, she's going to leave him eventually, guys. You can count on it. If her boyfriend of lesser value is of lesser value than a man showing interest in her, she is going to leave him for that man. This is how it goes, guys. Like they always say, the old saying goes, don't hate the player, man. Hate the game. Big thanks goes to Young and Blessed with the $5 super chat. Says, thanks, Donovan. What are your thoughts on why a woman cheats with a guy who is not physically or financially superior? Yeah, Young and Blessed, that doesn't happen. Those are my thoughts. Like, that doesn't make any sense, dude. Like, listen, I appreciate the support, but why in the world would a woman cheat on a guy who has less value than the guy she's with? So she's with a guy who is physically and financially superior. That's her boyfriend or husband. What in the world would women are not going to cheat with someone who has lower value than the guy that she's with? Not going to happen. So my thoughts are, no. That's one of those questions that and it's never a one-off. It's not going to happen. If you're, dude, listen, when and if Devin ever cheats on me, and listen, there is a real possibility she could. She's a woman. This is how it goes. She's not going to cheat on someone who is lower value than me. She's not cheating on someone who has less than this as muscle. She's not cheating on someone who has less financial shrewdness. No, she's gonna cheat on someone who is physically superior to me, financially superior to me. There is no such thing as a female who cheats on a man who is of lesser value than her man. It doesn't make any sense. Excellent. When we come back, I will be joined by the Godfather himself, Rollo Tomassi. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back.
For women to stay single based on what I have heard. Number one, they think they have time. And this is sort of on par with Darren Brown's question. Back in the day, a woman who was single for a reason, and that reason was normally never good. Maybe she had some sort of a disease. Maybe word got out that she wasn't a virgin, meaning she had the scarlet letter of being a slut. Like back then, if a woman slept with two guys, she was a whore. Like, man, she slept with two guys? Dude, she's got to go work for a brothel. She's ruined. Maybe she couldn't have children. Maybe she had the barren womb. Whatever the case may be, a female who was unwed by the time she was in her early 20s, or even sometimes younger, was more or less looked down upon the community, by the community. They were sort of shunned. Things are literally the opposite now, guys. If a young woman gets engaged and let's say she's, 20, 22 years old, everybody's confused as to why she's getting married at such a young age. Her friends are asking things like, why are you jumping into this? Or they'll ask, you're still young. Why don't you wait and date around? They ask questions like that. Women who get married young, and by young, guys, I mean late teens, early 20s. I'm talking 18, 19, 20, 21. Those girls are the exception. Most girls wait until their late 20s or early 30s before they even start thinking about settling down. And the reason they do this is because in their mind, they have time. Just like Darren Brown asked, and they're mostly right. They do have time, but not in the way they think. And here's what I mean about this, guys. Most men or most women rather, will find a man who's willing to wife her up when she starts losing her attractiveness. It doesn't matter if she's been a slut for a decade. It doesn't matter that she can't cook. It doesn't matter that she can't cook anything but hot dogs and tater tots. It doesn't matter that she's got a bitchy disposition, doesn't respect men. It doesn't even matter if she's overweight. If a woman is even half decent looking, she will find a man to commit to her. But here's the flaw in that plan. The men available to a woman who waits to get married aren't the men who were available to her when she was younger and more attractive. The men who are still interested in her when she's 35, those aren't the men she wants, guys. When females are young and attractive, they think the same quality of men will still be around when she's older, okay? Which is, guys, that's mind-boggling to me, because they know the older they get, the less attractive they become. But for some reason, every woman, they seem to think that they're the exception to the rule, meaning that she thinks that she'll still be able to attract the same kind of men, even though they see with their own two eyes every single day what really happens. Listen, they see their sisters, they see their mothers, they see their friends, they see all the females all around them who are unable to attract high-value men when they get older, but they think it won't happen to them. It is amazing that every woman thinks this. Honestly, it blows me away how ignorant these bitches are. So yes, they do have time. A man at some point will put a ring on it, but the longer she waits, the lower the caliber of men who are willing to commit to her long term. These young girls out here, they want to party, they want to drink, they want to go out, they want to live the single life, they want to fuck a bunch of guys. And they want to hold out until the last possible minute before they start taking their futures with men more seriously. I've said all the time, if women had 100 years of prime attractiveness and fertility, they would spend at least 99 years of their prime on the carousel, and most of them would probably wait. Most of them would probably spend 99 years and maybe 360 days until trying to lock down a man. This is the mentality they have. And then one day they wake up, they look in the mirror, and they have crow's feet around their eyes. Their tits aren't as perky. Their skin isn't as tight. Their asses are starting to sag. And all of a sudden they realize, holy shit, I'm 36 and I'm still single. But then it's too late for them, okay? It's too late for them to get a man or to get with a man that they can respect and love because they waited too long. They wasted their prime fertile years being hoes, and they didn't realize that the men they were used to getting attention from wouldn't pay them any mind once they hit the wall.
Welcome back to TSR Live with Donovan Sharpe. It is good to have you guys in today on a Wednesday, my Thursday. Alex Macco says, Donovan, I saw it happened, or it happens like this. Some women get together with men of a lower value even than them. Here's the thing, Alex Macco. Listen, do you want me to give you permission to be low value? Like, is this what you want me to do? Well, Donovan, I've seen it happen before. Alex, you don't know shit, man. That guy might have had a 12-inch dick. Did you know that guy was lower value? Okay, so he didn't really look as good as her current guy. But maybe he's got a 12-inch dick. Maybe he's worth a lot of money. Females do not cheat with men who are not superior to their current man in some way, shape, or form. It does not work that way. So if you want to come at me with like all of this quote-unquote exception to the rule, doesn't work that way, man. I don't give a fuck what you say you saw, man. Females do not cheat with men of lesser value than their own men. It does not work that way. And if you think they do, there's something you don't know. Oh my God, why did she cheat with him? He's of lesser value. You don't know shit about that guy. I do not care. I do not care. I had a caller on the line, and they dropped off. You motherfuckers are impatient, man. You guys jump on the line for a minute and 20 seconds, and you guys drop off because I don't bring you on immediately. But that doesn't matter. We are joined now by the godfather of the manosphere himself, Rollo Tomassi, to talk about open hypergamy. And before we get started here, Rollo, the reason why, and I've actually linked 2 of the articles, open hypergamy. It's actually going to be in the description of this video. I want to read this to you, the Sheryl Sandberg speech or addressed whatever the case may be, right? And this is why there's open hypergamy. So Sheryl Sandberg says this to females. When looking for a life partner, she says, my advice to women is to date all of them. The bad boys, the cool boys, the commitment phobic boys, the crazy boys, but do not marry them. The things that make the bad boy sexy do not make them good husbands. When it comes time to settle down, find someone who wants an equal partner. Someone who thinks women should be smart, opinionated, and ambitious. Someone who values fairness and expects, or even better, wants to do his share in the home. These men exist, she says, and trust me, over time, nothing is sexier. Rollo, she literally is. This is the roadmap, man.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, I was just gonna say I've used this quote. I think that was back in 2013 or 2014 is when I came up with that. I dug that out of her book called Lean In. And those two posts that you put up there were part of a discussion that we had on the Red Pill Reddit back when it was not quarantined, which it still is.
Right.
Today. And that triggered a lot of discussion there, because it confirmed a lot of Red Pill thought up to that point. I think a lot of people take for granted what we know about hypergamy right now when we talk about alpha fucks and beta bucks. When we talk about alpha seed, beta need. There's women have a two-pronged strategy when it comes to their sexual strategy, right? They want the best genetics that they can possibly get, and they want the best provisioning. And I think it was Mystery. I've just been kind of watching some old Mystery videos, Mystery from the PUA.
Mystery method,
Mystery. Yeah, and he was saying that there's a breakdown between. They didn't call it alpha fucks and beta bucks back in his day. It was there is reproduction value and there is survival value.
Ooh.
And so those are the two sides of hypergamy, really. So the alpha fuck side would be reproductive value, whereas the beta buck side would be the survival value to that guy, and that's what women are trying to find, that balance. Now, I think today they don't really even look for that balance in the same guy. I mean, they would probably like it if they could find that, but I'm at the point right now where we've raised women, or we've raised up a generation of women who don't expect to find that in the same guy, and nor are they looking for it in the same guy.
Right.
So they basically compartmentalize the guys that they want to have sex with and the guys that they want to marry, right? And they're rarely is it the same guy. Because they're trying to maximize their. This is just simply their biology. This is just how it works. Like women's sexual market value peaks out at about 23 years old is where where I peg it. Some guys say it's earlier. Some guys say it might. It can be extended a little bit later. I think that's a good round term, or round age, anyways. But so because of the mechanics of women's biology. That's pretty much is what defines their sexual strategy. What's the best I can get? What sexy sons theory. What's the best looking guy that I can have sex with and have a good sexual experience with? And then, what is the guy who is going to help me take care of these kids, and into the future, and maybe have more kids with? So the guy that is the good choice for genetics is not always the guy who's in fact, almost never is the guy that is and so. When we were talking about Sheryl Sandberg's quote, that's when I came up with the idea of open hypergamy. And nowadays, here in 2019, we kind of like take it for granted that women cop to being hypergamous. I just got into a Twitter fight with some chick the other day saying, "Oh yeah, red pill guys don't understand that hypergamy is just the way it is," and they get mad at it. I'm like, "No, we don't. No guy in the red pill community, at least the ones that I know of, is angry because
it's the way it is,
are hypergamous. We just accept it as the nature of the game, and we move on and we use it to our advantage. But women still think that guys are angry that women are hypergamous. It's like, no. It's like they might be frustrated. They might be angry with themselves.
There you go.
They might be certainly frustrated with it. Granted. I mean, if you're an incel or a volcel or whatever you want to call it, and you're giving up on that game, then I can see why you might be frustrated with that. But that's the thing is even the most pathetic beta blue pill guy still accepts the basic truth about hypergamy. If
Right.
anything, that's why they're upset. It's
There you
because
go.
of that.
Because they know the truth. They acknowledge it.
Yeah, because they acknowledge the truth. So, what I thought this was interesting is right around this time when Sheryl Sandberg, CEO of Facebook, and supposed to be this superhero for female empowerment, is writing a female empowerment book called Lean In. In that book, she is basically copying to hypergamy. This is
Right.
exactly, that's why I even call it now, ever since you came out with this, I call it Sandbergian hypergamy, which is have sex, just what you said, have sex with the fun guy.
There you go.
She says date, of course, but have sex with the bad boys, the commitment phobic boys,
The
the bad
crazy
for you
boys.
guys,
Yeah.
the crazy boys. Have sex with those guys while you're in your sexual market value peak. Wow, imagine that. Wow, Rollo Tomassi is actually right about something. Thank you. And so she cops to that, and then furthermore she goes and she says, well, yeah, once you're into your epiphany phase and you can no longer attract those guys, start looking for a guy who wants to
Now
be an
it's
equal
sexy.
provider,
Nothing is
who wants,
sexier.
it's like, here's how you can have your cake and eat it too, ladies. And what she's saying is this is how women don't understand this. What they're
Right.
saying is this is how men live their lives as it is. Like, men don't suffer as many consequences for having multiple sexual partners as a woman does.
Right.
And there's reasons for that, because men and women are different.
Say it with me,
We have
class.
different sexual strategies. We have different goals, different outcomes that we want to, are optimal towards our sexual strategy, but also for our life strategy. And so when she starts coming out with this, that's when I start noticing all of these commercials, and I start noticing all these songs, and I start noticing all this stuff. And it's like, it is open. It's out in the open.
Yes.
Women are actually copping to this. And then I noticed, though, that there used to be a secrecy about it. I think up until like maybe the late 90s, there was a secrecy about how women's hypergamy worked. Like, it was part of the feminine mystique. They wanted
When did
to
it go
keep under
mainstream?
wraps.
Because in my mind, I thought, wait a minute, I thought open hypergamy was a new thing, but you're telling me it's been open hypergamy for a while.
It's been open. I would say, like, I started talking about open hypergamy. If you look at the date on that post right there,
Yeah, it's like back in 14.
Was it 2014?
Well, there's
Yeah.
one in 14
So-
and one in 15. Yeah.
Okay, so 14, 15. So, 4 or 5 years ago. That's when I started taking notice of it. And that's when I think women really started embracing it. And I think one of the reasons for open hypergamy right now is because women can't hide it anymore. It's unignorable because we have the internet. We have the manosphere. Guys get together and we compare notes. They can't hide it anymore. And so rather than hiding it, they own it. They say, you're damn right, I'm hypergamous. I don't need no man. And you know what? They're right. They
are.
They don't need to worry about it because we've restructured society to accommodate women's hypergamy.
Right.
That's why we have abortion laws. That's why we have no-fault divorce laws.
There you go.
That's why we have child support. That's why 43% of births today are to single mothers. They don't care. They know that the beta bucks side of hypergamy is going to be satisfied by either direct or indirect resource transfer from men to women. So what's left? Well, I'm going to go and who cares if guys know about my sexual strategy?
Yeah, we're still going to do what we do.
I just want to get with the hot guy who's going to give me a good baby. And if I can't get him to give me a baby, or if I can't lock him down, I'm just going to freeze my eggs, and I'm going to have, I'm going to get artificial insemination at the 0 hour and then have kids, on my own. And I'll be a superhero because I get to be, it's all reinforced.
To hear you say this
socially.
out loud, man, and to hear you actually put words to this, that's the shock. Even for guys like me, like, it is shocking to hear the verbal vernacular manifestation of open hypergamy. It's still a shocking thing for me to hear.
Yeah, it is. And what I think is even more, I don't know, I hate to even say it's shocking because it's not really shocking to me anymore. Like, I think I came to understand hypergamy back when I was at university, because I was going through behavioral psychology, and I was just brushing the surface. If I had it all to do over again, I probably would invest myself a little bit more in Evo Psych or Evo Bio, do something a little bit more like that. But I understood the mechanics of it way back in like the mid 2000s, I think. And it was just watching it was just from observing behavior. Like,
Right.
why do women go for the bad boys and want to have sex with the bad boys, and then later on they want to cash out their chips before the party's over, and they want to get with a guy who is a good provider, and then after they do that, why do they pine for the alpha that they had in their
There
party
you
years?
go. The alpha widows.
And so it was just piecing, all I do is connect dots, right? So I was just piecing those things together, and then watching behavior of women, watching what they're talking about, and how they're. I mean, that's why I call it open hypergamy, because they proudly embrace
Yes.
this now. It's no longer a secret, and I think that once a woman gets to be about 18, 19, 20, somewhere in there, they start to embrace it more. And then when they get in their sexual market value peak years, like 22, 23, 24, somewhere around there, that's when they're like, they don't care. They do not care whether or not you know that they're hypergamous.
And they don't have to care.
And they don't have to care. But then once they get into their epiphany phase, like 29, 30, 31 years old, right in there, where they can't compete at the same level that they did when they were in their early 20s, that's when they wish you would shut the hell up about it. Because they need those blue pill chumps at that time. Remember the guy who wants to be an equal partner and does his chores and thinks that women should be smart and opinionated and equals, right? That guy that Sheryl Sandberg's talking about, we can't have him be aware of hypergamy, because if he is, what guy's going to sign up for that raw deal?
Shit.
Even especially a guy who prides himself on having put himself through college, but doing everything by the old social contract, like building himself up to be this good husband, this good future. These are the guys who think that, I don't want to say trad cons, they're not all trad cons, but these guys who think that they're playing by the rules, and because they play by the rules, that is what should make them attractive to women.
Right.
And so when they get to be about 30 years old, right, when they are on their ascendancy to their own sexual market value peak, that's the critical point in a woman's life. They need those guys to be stupid at that time. They need them to be ignorant of hypergamy and ignorant of how he fits into her sexual strategy. Because if she can get him at that point and say, you're on your way up, I'm on my way down. No, this isn't spoken. Okay, this isn't like a cognitive thing. Okay, this is, you ask women, they won't know. They just, I know that's what I need right now. That's what they're
right.
Say. I've matured. I'm done. I'm done with the bad boys. I've learned.
No, sweetheart, the bad boys are done with you.
No, well, I'm not saying women don't honestly feel that way. Of course they feel that way, but why do they feel that way? Why is it conveniently right between the ages of 29 and 31 years old? Always. Why is it always at that point?
And they can never explain it. It's just what I need right now. This is what they all say.
Just what I need right now, or I've come a long way and I understand myself. I finally finished my journey of self-discovery. No,
Eat, pray, fuck, right?
No. You it's necessity. You are making your necessity a virtue. That's what women do.
Oh, wow. Making their necessity a virtue. God damn, man.
They need those guys to be stupid at that time. So when they get into the epiphany phase or they get older, they want men to be ignorant of it. They want to say, oh, there's no hypergamy. Ha ha ha. How you men don't understand women. That's what they'll say, right? And then here's the fun part, is that once they get past the epiphany phase, and maybe they got married, or maybe they got into a situation, hopefully, for them, they consolidated on their hypergamy and they're living the happily ever after, right? That's when they start pining for the guy in their college years. And that's when they re-embrace open hypergamy again. So I've already got this schmuck locked in contractually as my husband, and so he's got to pay the bills and he's got to give me the babies and everything else. So what does she have to lose by then re-embracing open hypergamy?
There you go.
So you will notice that right around, like, okay, so when women get to be about, like, say 22 to 24 years old, they're really like, they embrace open hypergamy. When they get to be about 29 to 31, they want to keep it hush hush.
Right.
And then once they get past that, once they get into like getting on towards middle age, when they get to be like 36, 37, 38, that's when they're like, ha, I got this sucker, and so then then that's when they'll also be open about hypergamy once again, because I think they're probably trying to school the next generation. Like they want to say,
yes, they want to pass that on.
What's really going on, and you need to keep guys stupid. And so that's why one of the reasons why they hate the manosphere so much is because they hate this program, they hate the Red Man Group, they hate me, they hate all because
they hate all of us.
We're making these guys aware of what the game is about and how that game is being played, and how that they can remove themselves from it or play the game better. and women don't like that, because what that does is it removes the control over hypergamy that they want. They want to be, women want for their entire lives to be the primary sexual selectors.
Yes.
Everything happens, everything when it comes to human reproduction, everything happens according to a woman's agenda. That's what they want. They want 100% unilateral control over the reproductive process. And anything that takes even a marginal little bit of that away.
Male birth control, for example. Yes, right. Oh my God.
Yeah. That's how it works.
But
I think we want to talk. You want to talk about open hypergamy, but like I see this in the mainstream society right now.
Right.
I mean, it's one thing to have Beyonce like say I'm a feminist and you know, or wave the flag.
Right.
But it's another thing to see, like if you go and you look at that, if you look at the commercial that I linked in that essay down there, it's Red Robin restaurants. And it's one chick, and it's one chick who's with this beta guy, and they're having a nice meal at Red Robin, and she's about to go to a movie. The whole thing's about dinner and a movie, right?
Right.
She's there with some chump who's there paying for the Red Robin thing, and then so this hot guy comes up, puts his arm out, she grabs him, she goes off with the hot guy, and the other guy's there stuck with the bill. There's no better illustration of open hypergamy than that, and that was from like 2013 or 2014. So it's been out and it's been open for a very long time, but now we're seeing this more and more and more. Like they want to have sex, they fuck the bad boy, and they want to get married to the nice guy. And I've used this. This is a really good illustration. I've said this before. Like when I'm on events, I'm listening to my poor girls, and my poor girls say something. The one talks to the other, and she says, "Hey, have you ever had sex with a guy on the same night?"
Uh-oh.
And the other one says, "Or would you ever?" And she's like, "Yeah, of course I have."
Oh, of course I have.
But,
yes, of course.
But
right.
never if he's a guy who I think has boyfriend material.
There
right?
you go, man.
Never with a guy who I think might be a good long-term thing. So basically what she's saying is, I will have sex with a guy who's hot and fun and right there, and I want to go and have a good time with him. Unless he's a guy that gives me these vibes that maybe he might make a good boyfriend or
beta
husband
bucks, dude.
Then I will make him wait for the sex that I would have given to another guy free of charge, without making.
And it's less enthusiastic sex too.
And less enthusiastic sex.
Oh my God.
And they know this. They laugh. It's a joke.
Yes.
It's chick logic, and we go, wow, but they're acknowledging hypergamy out in the open. And it's right. It's not going to be guys like you or me that make the most blue pill guy. We're not going to unplug the most blue pill guys.
Oh no.
It's going to be
women.
Mainstream media. It's going to be women in the media. It's going to be pop culture. It's going to be women are going, because this next generation, this generation and the next one coming in, they already embrace open hypergamy.
That's right. It's all they know, Rollo.
Matter of fact.
It's all they know. Like, they don't know any better. And then when they see or hear things to the contrary, they lose their minds. Guys, if you have questions for Rollo, you can call in 914-205-5356, or you can put them in the chat. Let me ask you this question, Rollo, because it's something I've actually thought about for quite a while. And I think the very first time I ever saw the Sheryl Sandberg thing was, I don't know, maybe a few years ago. I think I saw it or read it on Royce's blog. Why is it that older females, knowing what they know, they know about the typical arc of a woman's sexual market value? Why is it, do you think, older women know that doing what normal women do in this culture is going to fuck them up? So why do they tell younger women, hey, if you want to be happy, do what I do, even though I'm miserable, I'm divorced, and no man wants me, etc., etc., etc.? Why do females it's almost like they're trying to sabotage not only men, but they're trying to sabotage women? I've never understood it.
I think, we were just talking about this on Twitter in our direct chat.
Yeah.
I think that, first of all, I think it's a generational thing. Remember what we were talking about before, like the generations that came before, like I would say Generation X would be the starting point, but right around
right. And I'm a Gen Xer
because I'm Gen X. So,
right. Yeah.
So I would say since Gen X, maybe even before that, like there has been this effort to keep hypergamy under wraps because that was a good deal, right? I mean,
right.
You didn't want guys to be aware of the game. And that's why women like to foster this idea that women are these mysterious creatures and they are forces of nature, right? It's the feminine mystique, and they're completely unknowable. And don't be a stupid, silly man. You'll never understand women.
Yes, you need a book this thick to understand.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And so that's what, because it discourages men. Women have always discouraged men from trying to figure out women. Why? Well, because if they did, the men wouldn't sign up for that.
There you go, right?
Up for, right? You wouldn't do that. That's one of the reasons why MGTOW is so prevalent today. Is really, I think, because of open hypergamy.
Yes.
Because so many guys, you don't have to go and find my blog or find the Manosphere to put two and two together, right? It's like. Even if MGTOW and Red Pill and Manosphere and everything just disappear tomorrow, guys are still, you can't ignore it, even just out in the wild, right?
God.
So even if you're a blue pill dude, you can't ignore what's going on. But before all that, it behooved women to keep it as secret as possible. And now I think in this generation, you see older women like, say, Sheryl Sandberg. So Sheryl Sandberg is at least in her late 40s, maybe even her early 50s right now.
How old is she?
Remember this. She wrote that book back before her husband died. Remember, her husband died on the treadmill, I think, like from a heart attack.
Yes.
But she wrote that book before then. So, and so she's got some guy who was, probably just happy as a pig in shit to have all the money that she had. I get that, but like, she could say whatever the hell she wants to. Why? Because she's got so much money. Anything that she would ever, any concern for her long-term security is completely erased with being the CEO. I mean, she's easily one of the most richest women.
Listen, she makes an annual salary of $25 million a year. Her net worth is $1.6 billion. She's 49 years old. She's going to be 50 this year.
Right. See, so
Jesus.
I mean, what does she, what does she have to lose by saying, "Hey, ladies, do what I did"?
Right.
And that's why I used her as an example, because she is someone that feminists like to hold up and say, "Well, look, she didn't create Facebook. She just is the CEO. She got hired because she's a woman." But they don't want, they want to say that. Like, we were just talking about how Mackenzie Bezos is going to be like the third richest woman in the world. Why?
God,
because
yes.
she's because of a divorce settlement.
There you go.
They want to say, "Oh, it's because he cheated on her." Oh God, I can't believe it. They want to distract you from every reason except for the real reason, which is it's divorce is why she's getting this kind of money. Like, well, she had all of this stock options in Amazon. I'm like, they're not dissolving Amazon. If they were dissolving Amazon, would she be entitled to $35 billion? I don't think so.
Right.
Her stock is probably not worth $35 billion.
I'm going to go out on the limb and say probably not.
Definitely worth $35 million, and they don't want to talk about that. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But I think that one of the reasons why the older generation keeps harping on this is because they still believe in the social conventions that if they don't empower the youth, if they don't, what I call fempowerment, if they don't make all this special dispensation and accommodate women just for being women, then they couldn't make it work. But perhaps the next generation can make it work. And what they refuse to see is that just the premise of what they're telling the younger generation is fundamentally flawed, because men and women are not the same.
Nope.
That's what I find interesting about the whole open hypergamy thing is they believe that women should be able to do that. Now, what I think is people will say, well, isn't this a contradiction, Rollo? Because like I tell guys, spin plates, right? I'm basically saying, spin plates, experienced women. You don't have to have sex with every last one of them, but if you want to have sex with them as well.
We're not getting any argument from me.
Spin plates and experienced women, learn about them. And I tell guys, I said, don't get into a long-term relationship or don't even consider monogamy until you get to be about 30 years old. And then that's only so you can, and hopefully by then.
I advise them not to be monogamous until you're at least 35. Isn't it Revelino?
That's your peak years though.
So. Okay.
I think it's important to start a little bit earlier than that. And the only reason I say that is because I'm not saying, oh, go get married at then. I'm saying don't even consider getting until you're about 30 years old.
That makes sense.
Because that at that point, hopefully, if you've experienced enough women and you understand, you're a better judge of character, you understand the game, you understand you're red pill aware, you understand the how women's strategy differs from men's, you have that, then you're better able to make a decision for you. You become primary sexual selector, and you take away that control of hypergamy from a woman. That's why women hate that. But you take away that control because now you are on your ascendancy to your own sexual market value peak.
Oh, and trust me,
you're
the
learning
times are
that
good.
I think that that's the learning side of things that you still need to. I'm not against monogamy per se. I'm just saying that I'm against like I didn't see it coming monogamy, or I didn't,
get out of here
like
with
this
that.
like naive monogamy. I hate that because like I was listening to Rich Cooper and Dr. Sean Smith on Monday.
Great show before the train wreck.
And they were a fantastic show. And every dude that called in was somewhere between 29 and like 36 years old, 37. And they were, I swear to God, they were all dating the same chick. It was this woman who was like in her mid to late 30s, single mommy, and they're trying to figure out how can they have a better relationship. And every one of them came up with some rationale as to why they wanted to stay with this other person. Because, I said, just get the hell out. You're not married to them. Just, get out, spin more plates, spin younger plates.
There you go.
Spin single woman instead of single mommy plates. Basic, third party, advice to these guys. They don't want to hear it because they're still locked into that. They're still ignorant of the game. And so for them to be getting into a monogamous relationship is disastrous when you're unaware of the game, when you're unaware of the red pill truths, when you're unaware of the truths about intersexual dynamics. And these guys get themselves involved in single mothers because it's easy, because they think, oh, well, they don't understand why that woman needs that guy in her life.
Right.
It's not because she thinks you're the best thing and she wants to have sex with you nonstop. It's because she sees you as a future long-term security potential.
Listen, necessity is now a virtue, man.
Yeah, well, and then those are the guys who are ignorant of hypergamy. They're ignorant of the game. They're ignorant of the role that they're complicit in at that point. And then so they call like me, or they call you, or they call up Rich or whatever, and they're just like, how do I get out of this? I love her so much. She's special, man. She's not like all the other girls.
She's not like that.
Dude, they just simply refuse to unplug themselves. But that's what I'm saying is like I don't think that monogamy is a bad idea. I think that kind of monogamy is a very bad idea. It's it is life damaging, while at the same time it is life affirming for women, because what you're doing is when you do that, when you get with a single mother, you are, especially if you do it in the long term, and God forbid you commit to that person, you are essentially approving, or you're absolving her of the consequences of her actions, of her hypergamous choices. If that's why I always say that when guys start going out with single mothers, or they marry single mothers, they are signing up for their own cuckoldry. It's just retroactive cuckoldry. Like the kids came before you came around, but you're still a cuck. You're still a cuckold because you are assuming the parental investment responsibilities of another man, and you're doing it, and the choice was made for you before you even arrived on the scene. So the choice is made for you. I mean, she might not be deceiving you of this. It's all up front. It's all on the table, but it's on the table, and it's on the table cuckoldry. That's another thing that goes along with open hypergamy is open cuckoldry, because the next step from open hypergamy is open cuckoldry.
Open cuckoldry. That's what's coming next. Got a couple of questions here for you, Rollo. Focus Drew. First, let me answer a question here. Theodore Petzold says, why do women have babies with betas? My answer to that is it's rarely by choice. And what you have to understand, Theo, is that females have children. Females procreate with men they perceive to be alpha males, and a lot of them do have babies with alpha males. But unfortunately for these quote unquote alpha males, these men worthy of being of procreation with these females, what happens is fatherhood and marriage ends up stripping them of their manhood. So the guy she first got with, he may have been an alpha male, but as soon as he puts a couple of babies in her, he doesn't really have time to be an alpha anymore. And at that point, now she has control of him. And again, dude, nothing makes an alpha a beta quicker than getting a woman pregnant. especially in America. You put a baby in a female, dude, she's got you by the balls, and you both know it. So in essence, it's almost like a mental thing. So no, women very rarely have babies with betas by choice. Like, I see him as a beta, I'm gonna have a baby with him. No, when they fuck for procreation and end up getting pregnant, at the time she perceives him to be some sort of alpha. It's the very idea of fatherhood and parenthood and marriage that eventually turns him into a beta. So no, women very knowingly or willingly have babies with beta males. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, and that kind of also goes to that previous question that you had before I came on here with that guy saying, well, I see girls with
Lower
guys
value
who
guys
I
all the
just
time.
know are just way lower quality. Okay, but there's probably something that is offsetting that deficit.
There you go. That's
Like,
exactly what I told him.
There's plenty of hot chicks that go out with guys who are like fat, ugly, dudes. Well,
But
there's
there's
something
something
about
else.
that dude that is offsetting that. Like, and you're probably only looking at that dude from the respect that you just see him walking down the street, or maybe the guy and the chick is like all about him. Well, there's
You have no
variables
idea, dude.
yeah. Well, that's the whole thing. Is like, people want to say though that it's all about looks. No, it's not.
No.
It's also about game. It's also about
Yes.
affluence. It's also about, because remember, there's 430. It's the 436 bullet point checklist from Royce, right? Like, there's all of these things that they have women have a much higher criteria, but the thing is they prioritize those criteria as per what they think about themselves at the time.
Right. Wow.
What
good
we were
point.
just talking about before, when a woman is 22, 23, 24 years old, in the back of her hindbrain knows that is her peak fertility window of her life.
Right.
And every year that she spends after 24 will be trying to get back to that feeling that she had. That's why they call the store 21 Forever 21.
Yes.
Not Forever 41, Forever 21. That's why they call it that. Well, because that's
Forever
what they're
41.
trying
I
to-
love
they're
it.
trying to recapture that. But when you get into your epiphany phase, those priorities shift. If you read my second book, which is Preventive Medicine, I put a timeline in there. Really, the whole book is basically rooted to that one timeline as to what guys can expect at different ages of maturity, phases of maturity for women. And during that time, women, 22, 23, 24, women are primarily focused on the hot guys. They're primarily focused on the physical. They don't it's nice if the guy's got money. It's nice if he's funny. It's nice if there's things, but the primary, if there's a priority list of things that she wants, good looks and, and good in bed is probably at the very top, right? When a woman gets to be about 29, 30, 31, and she realizes she can't compete, but see, her needs are different at that point. And so now maybe, I'm not saying good looks aren't important. They definitely are, but maybe they're number two, and number one is a guy who has some potential, who has some long-term, maybe he's going to be a better provider. So they're going to shift the priorities of what it is that they need, depending on what it is that they're most necessitous of at that time. That's why I keep saying that the more we ensure women's beta buck side of hypergamy, the more they're going to be concentrating on the looks. They're going to be more concentrating on the alpha fuck side of that equation rather than the beta bucks. That's what's throwing all this off. Because if a woman gets to be about 31 years old and she's just coming out of her epiphany phase and she still hasn't found a man, there's all these social conventions that say, you still got it, girl. Don't worry. You can still be hot at any age, or my favorite, at 33 years old, now you're entering your sexual peak. No, you're not. Your sexual peak was back when you were 23. But they want women to believe that because they want to bolster their egos and they don't want to be suicidal because they want.
They have to be able to sleep at night, right?
Still stay in the game, and that there's still hope for them at some point. But the truth of what the truth that is distracting them from is that every year after 30 years old, it gets harder and harder and harder for them to have children. And that's why they think. And so what do? We say, oh, well, don't worry about that. You can just freeze your eggs. And then when you meet the right guy or when you've been successful at your career, it's all about career and not meeting the right guys, right? Then it'll be, the eggs will be waiting for you at 40 and you'll have no problem bringing them to term. No, you will. And you probably have to find a surrogate if that's what you really want
Right,
to do. But they
right.
don't tell you those because women are still caught up. You know what? You want to know why they're teaching women, of 23 that they can do that, because they still believe in that lie. They say, "Oh, we got plenty of time,"
Wow.
because they want to live like a guy.
Yes.
They want to experience life as a man does, because men and women are different. Our sexual strategies are different, but they think that because men and women are blank slate equals, that women can live in a same
There you go,
same
man.
kind of sexual strategy as a man. So it doesn't matter if a woman has lots of partners, right? It's fine. They don't tell you that the more partners that a woman has, the less likely it is she's going to form strong emotional attachments to her
Not only
husband,
that,
and
it
the
creates
higher the
anxiety.
incidence of divorce.
This is
Yeah,
why
it brings anxiety
this
and
is
all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Because women's natural innate sexual strategy is about quality, not quantity.
There you
Men's
go.
the opposite way around.
That's
Not
right.
to say that that's not to say that one is not important, but because we've masculinized women, part of that masculinization is convincing them that they can live the sexual life of a man,
Ooh.
which is what Sandberg was saying. You go date. What if I told you this? I'm telling a young guy, right? I'm 50 years old. I'm saying, you know what, guys, you can go back and just fuck all the sluts you want. You find strippers, great, man. Strippers, awesome, man. You know what, porn stars, go for it. Instagram models,
Bang
dude,
them all.
awesome. I'll bang them all. You know what? But right before, like, when you get to be about 30, start looking for a good mom for your kids. Right?
Okay.
I mean, imagine me writing something like that. Imagine the kind of response that would happen if I were to say that. But if a woman says that, if a high powered,
she's lauded and
quote-unquote alpha
praised. You're
female,
doing the right thing.
yeah, if she's the CEO of Facebook, she's on Fortune 500 company.
She has it all.
If she has it all, right? She should know something. But if I say that, or if the manosphere says the same thing, then we
Reverse the sexes.
then we get to platform.
Well, yeah, listen. Well, yeah, I think that goes without saying. I got
Sorry,
another.
I know you want to take some questions. So
Yeah, this is actually a really good question by Focus Drew. I was actually supposed to ask that first. He says, "Hey, Rollo, are daughters of red pill fathers such as yourself going to choose wisely as they age, or are red pill fathers still going to experience the rebellious nature of hypergamy? Your daughter is about to be 21 or 22."
She's about to be 21.
She's about to be 21.
Towards the end of this month.
Right. What was, we'll make up a name, what was Teresa Tomassi? What?
Bebe Tomassi.
Yeah, Bebe Tomassi, right. What was Bebe Tomassi like when she was 15, 16, 17 years old?
She's always been kind of precocious.
Okay.
She's always been a girly girl.
Okay.
She's always been very super feminine. She takes after her mama. Okay. So she's very super feminine. I've never tried to raise her like the son I wish I had. Right. Because I didn't care. I love her to death no matter what she is, but I'm kind of glad that she's sort of turned out to be, a pageant girl. Right. I mean, she's that beautiful. She does modeling. She's a gorgeous girl. And so at 15, it's really, I think one of the things that struck me about raising my daughter is because she is good looking, she gets a lot of hate. Like, a lot of girls,
of course,
will throw hate at her, or they
throw shade.
They understand, like, she's the nicest girl in the world. Obviously.
Wow, so she's nice and she's beautiful. Wow,
she's nice and beautiful, and she's had two parents her whole life, right? Who have invested everything in we don't have one kid, so we invest everything in that one kid.
Rollo, listen, your daughter's the unicorn. Like, this is it. Your daughter's the snowflake.
She could be,
I'm telling you, man.
I'm not going to say she's a unicorn, because she's still a girl. She's still a woman.
Sure, of course.
She is still. She
is as close to the mythical. She is probably as close to the mythical idea of a snowflake as there probably ever was.
I would like to think so, but like, when she was in high school, when she was 15, all the girls were, and she didn't understand this. She was like, how come I don't like, she didn't make friends very easily, because the girls that were part of her peer group, they would either just tolerate her, or they would, they didn't want to be around her, because she generated all this attention. Like, remember what we said, attention is the coin of the Roman girl world. I told her this from a very early age too. I said, you know what? they're going to be jealous of you. They're going to hate you because you're beautiful. And you're not. She doesn't want to believe that, right? Because she believes she's a good person, and she wants to believe that other people are good too.
Right.
And so that's always been something that's been very difficult for her. And then that taught me a lot. People want to know how does Rollo know so much about women and girls? Well,
You're married to one and you have one.
Well, when I was at university and I was studying psychology, part of my psychology was like child psychology. And I used my daughter as my primary subject back then too, because she was about 5 or 6 years old back then, and so I would watch how her little peer groups would form. It's all about the group. It's all about the peer clutch. It's all about the attention that's being, and it's not just attention from within, it's attention from without. Right. And the worst thing in the world for a little girl, for a little 5-year-old, 6-year-old girl, is to have another girl say, "I'm not going to be your friend anymore." It's like that because women fight in the psychological and men fight in the physical. And that is something that goes into, like, women will hold grudges way longer than guys will ever. Like, guys will beat each other up, they dust each other off, shake hands, go have a beer. Right. Women is just like, something could have happened in high school.
Dude,
and
15 years later, they're still
did that to me on the so
on the playground. I never forgave Susie.
So as far as this question is concerned, yes, I tell her this all the time. I say, look, you need to maximize your next few years.
Yes.
And she hated me for this, but I told her, I said, I hope you don't have a boyfriend when you are in your senior year of high school, because you need to be single when you go into college, because you don't need to have that weight, that dead weight on you of a guy who's like, oh, because I know how guys. That's exactly what I talked about in preventive medicine. Is like, there is that, if you have one of those kind of like high school sweethearts, and then you each go to a different college,
it's over.
Usually the guy will follow the girl to that college and try to make it work, because he wants to facilitate the relationship. And I told her, I said, first of all, you don't want to do that to any guy, and second of all, you will be able to focus on your studies that much better if you do that. And you want to have the whole college experience, right? Sure. So there's going to be a guy, because I would rather her be with a guy who has more maturity than just some schlub that she met in high school, right? And I told her this. I said, all the people that you thought were so important in high school will be absolutely nothing to you by the time
they'll be
you get to
irrelevant
college, because that whole social group that you're in high school is erased on your graduation day. So I told her that. I've also said, hey, and she knows this too. My daughter has read the 48 Laws of Power.
Wow, how about that?
Yeah, I made sure she read that.
Jesus,
we talk about that all the time. Yeah, so she understands that. Does that mean she's like this Machiavellian, mercenary? No, she understands those things. Yeah, when we talk about those issues in the book, and I've told her that she understands pretty much everything that I've written.
This is so interesting.
She's read the first book. I don't think she's read the second or the third. But she's read the first book.
And listen, real quick, area code 229. I'm going to get to you in just a second. Here's another question just off of that one. Does she know who you are and what? I mean, obviously she does. How does she feel about that? My father is the great Rollo Tomassi. Like, what does she?
The grand.
Well, of course. Listen, she doesn't think of you as Rollo Tomassi. She thinks of you as dad, right?
The of the red pill.
Yeah, my dad is the grand poop of the red pill, right?
Well, what's funny is I'll tell you what kind of spooked me out too is my daughter is a journalism major.
Oh,
and so she gets
Holy
it. She
shit.
gets the social justice warrior crap all the time, and
dang.
I'm happy to say I've prepared her for that. How she accepts what I'm, of course she does.
Of course, she's your kid.
Well, see, here's the thing. It wasn't hard for her to. I told her who I was on her 18th, well, on our 18th birthday, but like on her graduation of high school.
Okay.
I told her, I have a book. This is what I've been doing.
Wow. What was that conversation
and I explained it. My wife already knew, but I had to explain it to her because she was an adult, and
Sure.
I explained it to her because I knew that she was going to go into college, and this is what she was going to be exposed to. And fortunately, because I have been quote unquote red pilled, I guess, or I've been writing what I've been writing since about 2001.
Right.
And so as a result of that, she's had a red pill father upbringing, right?
Yes,
So I
yes.
model the behaviors that I want her to seek out in a possible husband, right? And so I think as a result of that, I think it was easier for her to go, oh yeah, that makes sense. That figures.
Sure.
And that's
Right.
really all it was. But I'll tell you what really brought it home was she was in a class one time, and I don't know what exactly the class was, or one of her journalism classes. And she was talking to one of the students that she was going to school with, and one of the students' topics was writing about the alt-right. And
Oh man.
I was like, and she knew what it was, but like
Sure,
this was
sure.
this was back when Milo
Oh,
Yiannopoulos
Jesus,
was
yes,
doing his stuff
yes,
at
yes.
Berkeley and all that. And so she asked her, she says, what's the alt-right about? What are you writing about? And she's saying, I'm writing about feminism and how the response to feminism to basically the social justice warrior feminism to the alt-right.
Right,
Then
right.
she rattled off some names. She rattled off Milo Yiannopoulos, and the next name she mentioned was mine.
And she didn't know it was you.
That guy, or that guy, the rational male, right? Yeah, that didn't say
Wow,
Will Smith. She said
that's
that guy, the rational male.
unbelievable.
And my daughter's like,
Wow. So when you
Yeah.
told her that you're Rollo Tomassi, she's like, what?
yeah, it was fun.
Dude,
Well,
that is
I
fucking
did not.
crazy.
Well, no, she mentioned, like, she knew who I was, but she
Oh,
didn't
okay,
say
she's
anything
just
to
making
the
fun. Okay.
student, because the other student had mentioned my name, and that's what I think it kind of
Oh.
brought everything home for her.
Jesus,
Like,
can you
oh, wow.
imagine being your kid?
My dad is
that
an
Rollo-
e-celebrity.
Yes,
He's
my
he's
dad
a
is Rollo
low-level
Tomassi.
e-celebrity.
Here's the thing, though, dude. If she had told everyone, guys, listen, my dad is Rollo Tomassi, they wouldn't have believed her anyway. Right?
Yeah,
Like, that's
yeah,
so,
they-
like, what are the
they
odds?
They would.
Like, what are the odds, man?
Very, I'll tell you, like, gosh, this is just personal. So when Anthony asked me to come do the 21 convention in 2017, I had really, first of all, I turned him down the first time, but that was because I thought it was more of like a purple pill.
Purple pill,
convention.
yes.
But then when he decided, he says, okay, you throw out some names. We're gonna make this a red pill convention. So I did. But then once I had agreed to do it, I had second thoughts too, because I wasn't sure whether or not I wanted to show my face like I'm doing. Like right now, I just sort of take it for granted. But for a very long time, because of the nature of my business
Yes.
and the brands that I represented, I didn't know. In fact, I should say I didn't know. I knew damn well that if that I was to be associated with those brands, I would be open. I'd be vulnerable to attacks, just like Jack Murphy was,
Right.
or like I could get docs from these things.
Oh
And
my
that was in a
God, yeah.
time. That was in a time where I wasn't anti-fragile. I'm a little more. I don't think anybody is anti-fragile, but I think that I'm a little bit more independent right now. So I'm kind of like, I consider myself kind of like halfway public. Like
Okay.
I still use Rollo as my pen name. In fact, my wife's like, you should just change your name to Rollo. I'm like, no.
Yeah, like, even if I knew what your real name was, I could never call. Like, if your name was, I don't know.
You look
Steve.
at writers like Mike. Was it Michael Crichton? I can't remember. Maybe it's Dean Koontz. That's not his real name. Stephen King. That's not his real name.
How about that? How about
Danielle Steele. That's not her real name. It's just her writer's name. So
How
I'm like,
about
why
that?
not? I'll just even if
Well,
people
Tom
knew what my
Cruise,
real
his name is
was,
Tom
I would still
Mapother.
go by Rollo Tomassi, because
course.
that's what people know me as,
Right.
and that's my pen name. So okay, I'll just
Yeah, just go by
with that.
Rollo.
Do you think Sting's real name is Sting?
Oh, of course not. Of course
No.
not. Yeah, well, listen, I don't know. Listen, Nikki Sixx
Maybe now it
was
is.
born. I don't know.
Nikki
You listen,
Sixx,
you
man,
saw
I
The
know.
Dirt, right?
Yeah.
You saw that, man. Listen,
Yep,
by the way, that
yeah.
was a great movie.
was
I remember
fantastic.
Devin was like, hey, we should watch this. And I was like, I know all about the Motley Crue and this and that. And dude, 15 minutes in, I was like, oh yeah, dude, I am 100% all in on this. 914-205-5356. I've got Steve the Dean on the line, but before we get to him, yeah, we're gonna bring him on in just a second. I'm gonna go to area code 229. I think this is Sean in Tampa. Am I right?
Yeah, buddy. What's up,
Sean in Tampa. What's going on, brother? How you doing, man?
Nothing much, man. I saw you had Rollo on today. I just wanted to call in and chat for a bit. I had a couple things I wanted to run by him.
Sure, go ahead, man.
I can't hear him.
So,
Oh, wait a
first
minute.
of all-
Hold on. Hang on a second. We got a problem because he can't hear you. This is weird.
Oh,
Hang on a second. Hold on. Give me a second.
Nope. no sweat. Yeah, let me know
we're
when you're
good.
ready.
We're good. Hang on. So Rollo can't hear him. So that's gonna be a technical issue that Okay, nope. Now nobody can hear
Or
me.
you can just tell me what his question.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead, Sean. Go ahead and ask the question, and I'll tell you I'll tell you what. Yep.
Do you want me to just call and hang up and call back? See if that fixes it, or you guys can take Steve's call and I'll just wait.
No, actually, I think this is a problem on my end. I've got something. Something is up with the with the wiring and all that. I did something incorrect here, so we're probably just gonna have to. We'll just have to do it another time.
Yeah, just relay it to me. That's fine.
Okay, cool.
Basically, I wanted to talk to him about something that was on his website a while back that he put up on the
90 seconds.
Dread.
Okay.
And he put this thing up. It was really interesting, like talking about ratios, like 2-1, 3-1, and 4-1, which just meant like soft dread, hard dread, and then like intense dread.
Okay.
So basically, I was curious. Like I noticed that the higher the ratio, the less hoops that women make you jump through. So if you're like let's put it this way, if you're a 1-1, you're a friend.
Right.
Like you're friend zone.
Okay.
If you're 2-1, it's kind of like soft dread.
60
and if you're 3-1,
seconds.
that's hard dread. That's what she's like willing to do just about anything to get your attention.
Okay.
What I've noticed, like I kind of came up with one called 4-1. I call it intense dread because when a girl sees you as a 4-1, she's like willing to do anything in that moment, i.e. like actors, athletes, musicians, rock stars. I just wanted to get Rollo's take on like the ratio being so far apart and what women are willing to do for someone they view in such high regard and not expect anything from them. The things they won't do with other guys, but they'll do for these really, really high value guys they get that moment with. So I know it's a little drawn out. I don't want to throw too much at you. I just wanted to I found that really interesting when I saw that on his site, the concept he was using a ratio to explain dread.
Gotcha.
I just thought it was really rational, obviously, and just
10
very
seconds.
So
all right,
that's pretty much it. I just wanted to run that by him.
Yeah, absolutely. And my apologies for the technical snafu there. I thought I had everything hooked up. I'll probably have to rewire some things. Rollo, what he was asking about was the ratio in terms of extreme dread, passive dread. He says he talked about some of the ratios, the 4-1, 3-1. He said, of course, now if you're a 1-1, you're basically in the friend zone. But he wants to know, and I hope I'm relaying this correctly, and he can correct me at some point if I'm wrong.
I caught some of it. I went and listened on the live link.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's a 6 minutes or it's a 6-second delay, but I can pick it up.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah. So what are your thoughts on what he asked you?
As far as ratios are concerned, like as far as what he's referring to is an essay that I wrote called SMV ratios and really emotional attachment. It's like how attached does a woman get to a guy who is, or it can be the opposite way. How like, if you've got we talked about SMV on the Redman group. Yeah. If you've got a guy that is, let's just start at the 1-to-1 ratio. You got a guy who is a 6 and his wife or his girlfriend is a 6. Okay. Because of the nature of hypergamy, that woman is always going to be looking for better because hypergamy does not seek its own level. It's always looking for a better than deserved exchange, because otherwise it's sort of like a wash. There's that, and this is a natural thing. This isn't something to be pissed off about or anything like that. it's just that it's just how hypergamy works. Because why wouldn't you? You want to look for the best. Like we were talking about this on I talked about this with Pat on Sundays on my show on Sundays of the Red Pill 101. If you've got an apple that's a big giant juicy apple, and you've got another one that's kind of a little small measly apple, which one do you want to have?
Well, yeah, the big apple.
You want the bigger one because that's the better survival benefit from a bigger, redder, juicier apple instead of the small one, right? Right. That's just the nature of hypergamy. It's looking for something better than it gets. So when you have when I talk about sexual market value ratios, I'm talking about like a 1 to 10 ratio. Sure. And if you've got a 1-to-1, what that means is it's about an even split. If you guys got a guy who's a 7 and his girlfriend's a 7, that's a 1-to-1 ratio. Right. If you've got a guy who is an 8 and his girlfriend is a 7, then you got a 1-to-2 ratio. So you've got a guy who's one step above that chick, right? Right. So what happens is in those relationships where a woman acknowledges, whether it's hindbrain or she like consciously acknowledges that the guy is has more sexual value than she does, that's when she tries harder. That's why fat chicks try harder, right? Right. That's why they try to keep you. Yeah, that they want to offset that deficit in some way because their hindbrain understands that that's a good deal, and I need to find some way to keep that. I need to find some way to lock that guy down. Sometimes that's marriage. Sometimes like, oh, I'm having your baby, right? there are
Oh,
ways
wow.
that women can.
So they
lock you
actually
down.
do that?
So this is my theory. Okay, this
Okay.
is the thing is.
The article he's referring to.
If it is an imbalance that's in a man's favor, those tend to create relationships that have stronger emotional attachments for that woman. So like I said, if the guy is an 8 and the woman is a 6, now you've got like a 3-to-1 ratio right there. So now he's 2 steps above, and that's when she kind of gets like possessive and she gets jealous. And
Right.
she wants to know, where are you? And it's like this surveillance, where are you? Are you at the strip club? Are you cheating on me? That's when that anxiety gets in. And God forbid that, and I don't know how this would happen, but God forbid a woman is a 6 and she's out with a guy who's like an 8 or a 9, right? So now you're looking at 3 or 4-to-1 ratios. And when that happens, that's when women kind of get depressed and they go, he's just going to leave me for some little hot piece of ass. I'm just going to stick around and hopefully have his baby, and we'll see where it goes from there. That's when women kind of get depressed. But like if you have that 2-to-1 ratio where you are 1 step above her in SMV, those tend to be the more solid when it comes to emotional attachments for men and women. Now, what's the opposite? Well, there's still that 1-to-1. But rarely do women ever go for a guy who is like a 1-to-2, right? So if a guy is a 6 and the girl is a 7, she's looking for something. She's going to look for something better.
Better believe it.
You're there temporarily. There's something that's offsetting.
You're a
that
placeholder.
difference. Maybe like we were talking about with that guy in the very beginning of the show. Yeah, what is that? What is offsetting that deficit? Maybe you've got a 10-inch dick. Maybe
Right.
you have maybe you have a lot of money. Maybe
Right.
you have something. Maybe you
drive a nice car. Maybe you have a better lifestyle.
Maybe you check off the highest thing on her priority list at that time, and she's willing to overlook certain, like if you're a beta male, she's willing to overlook certain aspects of it because maybe you have social proof. Maybe you have
Right.
fame. Maybe you have something that's a little bit more potential. So she's willing to put up with that. But the emotional attachment to you will never be as strong as if you were above her in sexual market value.
Wow.
So you got a guy who's like a 5 and his girlfriend's a 7. That, first of all, this never freaking happens. But
No.
If it were, you can pretty much just. I don't even go into it on the opposite side so much because those are such rare occurrences. Because women, that's why I say women are hypergamous. Get that through your goddamn head.
Yes.
Only women are hypergamous.
There's no such thing as hypogamy.
Men are not hypogamous. We have differing sexual strategies. Only women are hypergamous. They say, well, or don't men and women? Human beings make comparisons. Only women are hypergamous, meaning that men don't have an attraction floor. So if a man is an 8, he'll fuck a 7. He might
Straight
even
up.
fuck a 6 if it's 2
Right.
a.m.
If he's slumping, yeah, right.
Right. Women will not do that.
Nope.
That's why. That's
No,
the
they will
difference there. That's the qualitative difference, because men are interested in quantity, women are interested in quality. So if you have to be at least at her level or above. And this is a perceptual thing too. Okay, this is not necessarily a concrete thing. It's subjective to the woman, because a woman might have low self-esteem, and you might actually be realistically a 6, but she thinks you're an 8. Right. And so that's when things get really, really sketchy. Like when you are, like, let's just say you're an 8 or a 9, or she thinks you're an 8 or a 9, and she thinks she's like a 5 or 6. That's when you get borderline personality disorders. That's when the psychosis comes out. And it's like, that crazy, almost homicidal jealousy comes out after that. So that's what I was talking about. And I'll throw out the link, but it's this idea that depending on the imbalance of sexual market value between the couple, it affects the emotional attachment of that relationship. So ideally, you want to at least have a woman believe that you are 1 step above her in sexual market value. Those make for the healthiest relationships.
That's right.
Where the guy is dominant, and the guy is maybe he's a little better looking. Maybe he's got something else going for him. Maybe he just thinks a lot of himself, and she thinks a lot of him too. It doesn't even have to be realistically like that. It's just like she just has to think that you're 1 step above her in sexual market value. And if she doesn't keep up with you, and that's what he's talking about dread and passive dread. Like if you have that imbalance right there, that sets up a woman for passive dread. It's when the woman is at the same level as you, or you're one step below her, and that's when you constantly have to keep up.
Right, passive dread on your end. Yes,
you have to start qualifying to her if you're one step below her, and then so the passive dread works on you, not on her. But if you're one step above her, then passive dread works on her, and that makes for a good, strong, healthy attachment, especially if you're in love with the girl and you have a good relationship.
Sure.
That is guys think that just because I use the term dread there's some negative connotation to that.
Dread.
I don't want to say dread. It's like more like concerned. That's why I made a distinction between passive dread and active dread. Active dread is when you're overtly saying, "Look, bitch,
I can replace you in a minute.
I'm out of here." Right? That kind of stuff. The ultimatums are active dread. Passive dread is when her girlfriends say, "Man, your husband's looking good today."
Yes, that would be
third party dread, and you go
third party dread. I love it.
And so, what's the beta male? What's the beta male response to that? Oh, don't worry, honey. I don't want to have anything to do with her. She's a skank. Blah, blah.
Right. Her big size D titties don't even register on the radar.
What I tell guys is don't try to diffuse passive dread. It works in your favor. Right. You might not think it does, but let it go. Let her think that.
Be like, okay. I'm gonna try to bring on Steve the Dean. I've made
okay.
One...
I'll be quiet and I'll listen to him. If I can't hear him, I'll listen to him on the live link.
Okay. Well. Hang on. I want to see if you can listen to him now. Steve, are you there? Steve, can you hear me? Damn. Hold on.
No.
Okay, there it is. Damn. I thought I had it figured out.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, Steve, I can hear you, but Rollo can't. Damn it! I think
it's okay. I'll listen to him on the live link.
Okay, all right.
I just want to say what's up to my dog Rollo motherfucking Tomassi breaking that ism down. Smoke that shit. No, what's up, Donovan?
Not too much, man. I think it was. There's something I have to do with my soundboard to be able to bring all of this in. But yeah, man. We're actually getting ready to draw the show to a close, and the reason I wanted to have you on was to talk about. Hypergamy, open hypergamy, and the fact that women are no longer hiding the fact that they are openly hypergamous. Like, they just don't give a damn anymore.
Well, they don't give a damn because I think, in my opinion, they act more like men. Like, men don't give a damn. You know what I mean?
Right.
We don't care because we're men. But because of the way the world is shifting, it's like the women are more aggressive now. And because they're more aggressive now, they have that I don't give a F attitude, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. All right. Well, Steve, listen, man, I'm going to go ahead and cut this short because I've got some technical issues on my end, and I've got a consultation here in about a half an hour that I need to get ready for. I need to call you later on tonight because you and I need to discuss the particulars of the show that we're going to be doing on the Red Man Group channel, the live call-in show that's going to be starting next Friday, a week from Friday.
Okay.
All right, man.
No doubt, man. Well, do your thing. Yeah, do your thing. And Rollo, much love to you, man. I love you, man. Rollo's my man. Hey, they should make a Netflix movie about Rollo starting off as a musician and being right now where he's at.
I love it, man. Thanks for calling in, man.
All right, brother. All right, peace.
Steve is out here talking about movies. Like he said that there should be a movie starting you starting off as a musician and ending up as Rollo Tomassi. That's really
right. You want the documentary, the autobiography.
Yes, the biopic. The life and times of Rollo Tomassi.
The biometry. Yeah. No, I get what he's saying. I heard him a little bit there about how women are more aggressive right now.
Yes.
Yeah, yes and no. I think they have to be a little bit more aggressive because, remember we were talking about how, 30% more of guys are sexless. Within the last, it's tripled. It's tripled in the last 10 years of guys' sexlessness, but it hasn't for women. So why on earth would that be? Now, of course, my reason is like everybody wants to come up with some other, it's porn or it's something else. Those are adaptations to the real problem. The real problem is that we have standardized. It's open hypergamy, but we have also standardized on what I call a new polyandry. And so what happens is if you've got women who are already they're not concerned about their long-term security. They don't want to deal with having to sexually entertain lesser guys. They don't want to have to sexually entertain a beta. They don't want to have to sexually entertain guys who they believe are beneath them. Now, add to this that social media has inflated women's egos, and it has inflated their sense of understanding themselves with respect to sexual market value. So women who are like a 6 believe that they're an 8 right now. And they believe that because they have all of this. We've abandoned their localized sexual marketplace, and we've created a new globalized sexual marketplace. And in that global sexual marketplace, on the internet, on Instagram, on Snapchat, women have a constant supply of attention, a constant supply of ego affirmation
all the time.
And then from that, they build up this idea about themselves that they can be as fat as they want, and they're still a 7 or an 8 because there's some dude on planet Earth that wants to fuck them. So they go into what we call the meat space, right? They go into the clubs, and they think that their sexual market value of being like an 8 is going to transfer from online into real space, and it doesn't. And so they get upset about that, and that's why there's this real conflict about the life that women are living online and the life that women live in the real life.
Wow.
And so that's why they say, well, how come I can't meet any nice guys? How come I can't meet any guys who are of my level? Well, they believe that their level is inflated, so of course they don't want to have anything to do with these dudes. And the only ones that they will entertain are guys who they believe they deserve, which are 8s and 9s. They want, like, one of the reasons why we saw the stats that we did is because women are still having sex. It's men who aren't having sex. Right. So how are women having having sexual partners between the ages of 18 and 30 years old? Well, because they are willing to share that alpha male. They're willing to, when we talk about the Pareto principle, when we talk about the top 20%, guys get this mixed up. They think that 80% of women are going for the 20% top of guys. No, actually 100% of women are going for the top 20% of guys. That's how hypergamy works. So even the HB1 and 2 still want the guy who's, that far above them. Right. If they could get that. Guys, on the other hand, like we said before, don't have an attraction floor. So we'll go and slump bust or whatever. It doesn't matter how low or how high she is. We would ideally, we want higher, of course. But we'll take lower because our sexual strategy is to spread the seed, right? And it's to have sex. And it doesn't mean you necessarily have to invest parentally in those lower value
but
chicks.
it's the
It just means that your seed continues on.
There you go.
And that's all. Unfortunately, that's just how we evolve. That's the nature of the world. But so you get women who are more aggressive now. They're more aggressive towards guys who are in that top 20% bracket because they have to compete for that guy's attention because nobody else's attention will do. Right. If you think I'm wrong about that, go look at those stats that we were just talking about. That's why you see this tripling of guys who are sexlessness from 2008 to 2018.
Jesus,
because because women don't need those guys. That's the 30% of that 30% increase. That's the chaff. Those are the guys that women don't want. They're still having sex. Sure. Obviously, we see the stats. They're still having sex, but they're not having sex with that 30%.
No,
those guys go home and jerk off, right? Because we have satisfied the beta buck side of hypergamy, women are focusing primarily. What else is left, right? They're focusing primarily on the alpha fuck side of things,
right?
And if they can't get that, they will happily share that guy with their sisters. So what they're doing is they're kind of creating a new form of it's polyandry, but it's a form of soft polygamy where a small percentage of guys are having sex with a lot of women. And it's not because those guys are out there and they're really working it or they're great, PUAs or anything like that. It's just because that's the nature of how the game is developed right now, certainly over the last 10 years.
Yeah, right.
So that's why you see women be a little bit more aggressive and that's also why you see things like women resisting the idea of consent for guys who don't rate on their.
There you go.
That's one. Big guys want to say, well, it's because of Me Too. We live in the Me Too era. Yeah, we do, and that's definitely a part of that. Guys are avoiding lower end guys are avoiding. Lower S&P guys are avoiding sexual interactions or approaching women because they don't want to have their approaches misconstrued as sexual harassment, and then they end up, on the front page of the newspaper, right? Or they lose their career, or they lose their capacity to make money in the future because the internet never forgets, right? So of course they don't want to have anything to do with that. But what does that do? All that does is intensify the desire for women to get with that top 20%. When I talk about how, like, right now there is a push for women to change consent from being just like yes means yes or no means no, any of that, to enthusiastic consent.
And yes,
what that means is if a woman is not enthusiastically just jumping your bones and is like a wild animal on your cock, if she is not enthusiastically into everything that you're doing, then that anything less than that is rape.
And see, here's the thing.
It's sex she didn't want to have.
That turns me off. I do not like sexually aggressive women. I remember this one time, and Jesus Christ, I really got to end this after this. I remember this one time Devin tried to be sexually aggressive. She tried to rip off my pants. I said, whoa, wait a minute. I said, don't do that. I don't like, she's like, well, I'm just trying to show you that I want you. I was like, listen, you can show me that you want me by putting on those hoops, heels, and lipstick. That's how you can show me. To me, sexually aggressive women are unattractive because that is a masculine behavior. It is the male. Listen, men are the ones who are supposed to be the aggressors. We are the ones who are supposed to pursue. Females are passive. So when you get these females being all sexually aggressive and hitting on guys, to me, that's just unattractive. So we are further masculinizing women by telling them, hey, enthusiastic consent is the only time when you can safely have sex with a female. Dude, it's no wonder the numbers are how they are, man. This is why more guys are not having sex, dude.
I don't necessarily mind like an enthusiastic fuck with my wife, right?
Sure.
It's nice but like I kind of agree with you. I think that I would rather have her be enthusiastic about what I'm doing and enthusiastically responding to what I'm doing, what I'm initiating. But like, yeah, I kind of get what you mean. In my sexual past, I have had women be very, very aggressive with me, but I don't necessarily think I was like not into it, but I think in the back of my head, I'm like, why is she doing this? I think I might have been more suspicious than anything else, and I think it sort of like pricked my suspicious.
What do you want?
Nature sort of thing. Right, yeah, I would, but I'm not against that. Like I tell guys all the time, it's like there's a concept in mystery method and pickup artistry, which is overcoming last minute resistance. Well, I would rather there not be any last minute resistance. I want a chick that's really into having sex with me, and in that respect, I understand why enthusiastic consent is a thing. Just don't say anything less is rape.
Jesus Christ,
right?
Man.
I mean, like when we talked about like a little while back, I think it might have been a year ago, the Aziz Ansari thing, where the chick gave him a blow job. Yeah, and so he tried to escalate it to actual sex, thinking, well, why not? Why wouldn't he think that he could escalate it to sex?
Right.
After she
sucked his
him
dick,
up, right?
Right.
Well, of course, and then she didn't have sex with him, but like that spawned this conversation amongst women, which is women will have gray area sex. They'll have sex that they don't want to have because it's less inconvenient to have it and then to explain why they don't want to have it. Right. And what she's saying is that's duty sex. That's in a married context.
You didn't know that's rape.
I talk to guys, religious guys, about this, and they say, I said, do you think that duty sex should be considered rape? Of course, they don't think that. I mean, even the women involved in the marriages don't think that. But a court of law that's based on enthusiastic consent will think that when you're in divorce proceedings. So they'd be like, excuse me, Mr. So-and-so or Miss So-and-so, did you ever have sex? Did you ever have duty sex with your husband when you didn't, feel like it, but you did it anyways because, the Lord said that's what you need to do in the Bible? Yeah, of course. Well, you've been raped.
There you go.
All that is just, it's sex you didn't want to have, but you had anyways. They think that should be considered rape. And I think that has a lot of dangerous implications. But again, one of the reasons why they are so aggressive right now is because they have to be. They have to compete with a lot of other chicks right now. They have to compete for that top 20% of guys who may or may not know that they could have all these chicks. Like they're still, just because a guy is in that top 20% is like that alpha guy, just because he's in that top 20% doesn't necessarily mean he is, polygamous. Maybe
Right.
he just because maybe he was raised to think, okay, one man, one woman. I only want to get with one chick. I don't want to cheat on my girlfriend. I don't want to cheat, whatever. So of that 20%, that top 20%, maybe half of them can actually turn it to their advantage.
Maybe.
Something to think about.
Rollo, again, man, thanks for making time for us today. As usual, you came in here and dropped the knowledge. You guys can follow Rollo at Rational Male on Twitter. Obviously, therationalmale.com is where you can find his website, his books, and everything else Rollo Tomassi based. And no, his daughter is really not named Teresa Tomassi.
No.
It's
It's baby
for all of
Tomassi.
for all of you doctors out there. Thanks, Rollo, man. I will see you on Saturday, my friend.
All right, man. I'll talk to you later.
All right, take care. Rollo Tomassi, ladies and gentlemen, from the Rational Male, in here dropping knowledge as usual. Let me jump back in here quickly. Hang on one second. There we go. Had to go back to my my slideshow. Yeah, listen. Open hypergamy is one of those things, and just like he said, at some point it is going to get to the point of open cuckoldry. Listen, make no mistake, gentlemen. Make no mistake. We are absolutely headed. In that direction for sure. There we go. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, perfect. All right, excellent. All right, whatever. That's going to do it for this edition of TSR Live with Donovan Sharpe. Be sure to tune in tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. I will be joined by Ryan Stone at 2 p.m. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.
We've lost our minds, to take it back, we'll go.